Can't see myself yet. There we go. All right. Hello, everybody. How are you doing? I am way more chilled than I was yesterday. I didn't have to fix my camera situation. Everything's working, and I hope the same is the case with SpaceX. How are you doing, everybody? Thanks for showing up again. We already have 3,500 people watching. Thank you so much for showing up and for tuning in to What About It? Yeah. This is attempt number 2. For anybody who doesn't know what we're doing here, we are watching SpaceX launch Starship Flight number 10, hopefully. There's Ship 37 on the top and there's Booster 16 on the bottom. They're both still the Block 2 generation, which was pretty troublesome on recent launches for SpaceX. So we'll see how that goes today. Of course, crossing my fingers that this is going to go to the Indian Ocean and have a touchdown and everything, and that SpaceX can test everything. We're going to go into detail on that in a minute. I have a little ritual for everybody who's watching. This isn't the first stream you're watching with Why. You know what's coming up. Please put into the chat where you're from. I do this to make everybody realize that this is not just from one country. These aren't your neighbors. This is people from all around the world that are interested in this. And it's always amazing to see where you guys are all coming from. So please make the chat race and tell us where you're all from. It's always, so, I mean, look at this. It starts with Switzerland, Texas, Egypt, India. We have Finland, we have Austria, Germany, UK, Syria, Ohio, Scotland, California, somebody's from Venus, how's the weather? Kansas, Georgia, India, it's everything. France, lots of Americans here. I moved from Germany to the United States 3 years ago, for anybody who doesn't know yet. So this is my new home, and I really, really, really love this country at this point. Texas, Texas, hell yeah, very nice. And you can, as you can see, this isn't a small circle of people. This is people from all continents. This is people from everywhere. People from SpaceX tune into this regularly as well. So shout out to the crew that made this happen today for attempt number 2. The problem with number 1 yesterday was that there seems to have been an oxygen line that on the ship quick disconnect. Let me mark this for you real quick for those who don't know what I'm talking about. It's this thing up here. This is the ship quick disconnect. This is the booster quick disconnect. And those are responsible for fueling both stages when it's sitting on the pad waiting for the launch. And the upper one, so this guy here, seems to have had problems with the oxygen line. They had to fix it. They did this today. They were incredibly quick with this. For some time, we thought it might not be a launch today, but because the counter that SpaceX has on the website stopped, and my heart stopped as well, because I really want to see this thing launch as the same way as you do. But they continued and they fixed everything, and this seems to be going well at this point. We're already seeing that SpaceX has spooled up the tank farm. You see all the vapor going on around the Starship, which is exactly that. They're pre-chilling lines and everything, and we're already pretty, because we started an hour later than yesterday. Yesterday we started 3 hours before the launch. Today we started 2 hours before the launch, as you can see on the timer in the upper left. So we're 1 hour and 53 minutes away from hopefully liftoff, if there is no problem. And coming up at T-minus 1 hour and 15 minutes, we have the go-no-go decision for fueling. And this is the preparation for that, because fueling starts at, there we go, that's the pre-launch timeline. At T-minus 53 minutes, they start fueling the ship, and at T-minus 41, exactly, is where they start fueling the first stage. So the booster is the first stage, the ship is the upper stage, the second stage. And we're pretty close to that. That's why you see all this activity. I am so looking forward to this. I really, really hope that they're going to launch the ship today. That would make my day, and I'm sure you're thinking the same. And everything should be on track. Okay, so here's the routine. If you have questions that we want me to answer, write #question. I'm going to go through as many of them as I can. If you attach them to a super chat, they are going to be prioritized, because those that pay a little bit of money for our coffee get prioritized by us. If you haven't done so yet, please sorry, do like the stream. It takes a second. It is completely for free and it helps us hugely. And I can see here that there's 848 likes, but we have more than 4,000 people watching at this time. So if you've got the chance, click the like button for a second. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, that helps us massively as well. Click the subscribe button. It doesn't cost anything as well. And I promise you, we're not going to spam you with irrelevant things. We don't do that. If you want to go a step further than that, you can become a patron or a channel member by clicking the join button or by following the patron link that the moderators can spam into the chat right now. That is direct support, and we give something back for that. We give you picture galleries, personal chats with me, access to our Discord server, all kinds of benefits. And we post, I'd say we post at least 5 to 10 times a week, so you'll get your money's worth. And it's direct support for the team. It's very, very important for everybody in the background. I know you only see me in front of the camera, but this is not a one-man show, and it hasn't been for a long time. I could never do this alone, and there's a big team in the background, and I have Cris and Jonathan here in the background as well. I can see them down there on my monitor, and they're already waiting to answer your questions as well and help with everything they can. My wife is sitting there beside me. You can't see her. She's in the off right now. She's managing all the questions. Be nice. We're going to filter any nasty questions and stuff like that, inappropriate things. We're not answering those. So keep it to Starship or to me. I can do an AMA as well. I'm willing to answer anything you want me to answer. And like I said, we're not that far away anymore from SpaceX making important decisions here. 35 minutes towards the go, no-go for propellant load. And then we're already in the game. And if everything works out as planned, Starship is supposed to do a few things today. Looking at the upper stage, I'm going to mark this again for you guys. This is the upper stage, the ship itself, and as you can see, there is some black stuff on it. That is the heat shield. This heat shield is going to do many tests today. There are parts on the heat shield that don't have any tiles at all. There are other parts where there's actively cooled heat tiles, metal heat tiles. So SpaceX is experimenting with this heat shield because it is a very tough nut to crack. There have not been that many vehicles with heat shields at all. The biggest heat shield probably was the space shuttle, and if you know a little bit about the history of the space shuttle, you know that it was always troublesome, all the way up to even losing one shuttle in a tragic accident due to the heat shield being damaged. So SpaceX needs to do a lot of research here because they don't want to just have a heat shield, they want to have a rapidly reusable one, and that is a big added challenge. If you don't have months to check every tile and you want it to hopefully fly the next day or maybe even the same day again, it's a whole different thing. And that's why SpaceX is experimenting. A lot of experiments are going on this one. They even have on the aft flaps, let me delete this again and should give you another box. This is where the aft flaps are, and this is where the forward flaps are on the upper stage. And with the aft flaps, so down here, there are heat tiles on the leeward side of those flaps, which is another experiment because SpaceX is planning to deorbit the upper stage at a steeper angle to produce more heat, to stress test the heat shield even further. Of course, for that, SpaceX needs to overcome the problems that they had on previous flights. The last few flights didn't even lead to the ship re-entering controlled. It did re-enter, but not under controlled conditions. That makes it really hard for them to get data because they don't want to get any data. They want to get data of precise and specifically planned flight routes, trajectories. And that didn't happen on the last few flights. So we're all rooting today. The most important part, the boosters have not produced many problems. The upper stage is the problem maker right now. So let's all cross our fingers that ship 37, one of the last two Block 2 ships, even there, everything after that is going to be Block 3, massively updated and so on and so forth. So this is one of the last Block 2 ships. We're all rooting for the thing to make it through its entire phase of being in space and then towards the re-entry and then towards the Indian Ocean where it's supposed to softly touch down on the water and then fall in. More so, there's going to be, hopefully, if everything works out, and I'm really, really crossing my fingers for this, we're going to have payload deployment, meaning there are 8 dummy Starlink satellites in, let me delete this again and show you another magical box appearing here. It's kind of hard to see in this. The payload bay of the Starship is roughly in this in this area, and there's a slit-like payload bay door that is supposed to release Starlink test satellites. 15 minutes into flight, I think it's supposed to start, or 18 minutes into flight, and it's going to last roughly 6 to 7 minutes. We're going to hopefully see Starlink dummy satellites being deployed from a so-called PEZ dispenser, which is in the payload bay of the upper stage Starship. And I know that they had planned for previous flights where we sadly never saw the payload deployment. So I'm really, really hoping that they're doing this time again, because one of them on previous flights had a camera attached to it. And if you've ever seen SpaceX launches, you know that they're doing a really, really good job with presenting these, showing different camera perspectives, all the kind of stuff that like they've transmitted from Starship upper stages during re-entry with the plasma engulfing the upper stage and this kind of stuff. We've never seen this before from anybody else. And so I'm hoping if they show us the camera from, if there is one on the Starlink dummy satellites, we might even see a perspective where you see the dummy satellite sliding out from the point of view of the satellite, moving away from the Starship. This kind of stuff is what we can look forward to if Ship 37 makes it. So cross your fingers for it. Send some good wishes into the chat, because that is what we're looking forward to today. The booster itself is going to do almost the same it did on the last flights. It is not going to be caught because there really isn't anything that SpaceX could still learn from Block 2 boosters. They've validated them. They've launched, caught, and reflown booster 15, and so it doesn't really make much sense to do it again. And that's why they're not doing it. If you're wondering why, I mean, it's awesome to see them come back to the pad and be caught by those chopsticks. It's the reason why they're not doing this. They would probably love to do it, but they would risk potentially destroying the pad if the booster has a malfunction for getting very, very little extra data. And that's why they're not doing it. And so they're using this chance to stress test this booster the same way they did with the other boosters before. On the last flight, for example, the booster did its approach at a steeper angle of attack to test if it can glide even more. Then just before it was supposed to land on a virtual tower out in the Sea of the Gulf, so the booster thinks there is a tower, but there isn't one. It's simulated, it's just in the software, but the software is actually aiming for chopsticks that are non-existent. And before it was able to do that, it even had a RUD above the ocean. We had an engine ignition of the center engines, and we were actually the only team to even catch this by sheer luck. I was very happy about that. And we had a final ignition of the center 2 engines, actually. I'll explain in a second why just 2. And then we had a RUD, and it fell into the ocean. They actually fished it out again, which they're probably going to do with this one as well. But there you can see this wasn't a failure. This was a test to failure. That's a different thing. And they're going to do the same thing with booster 16 again. And we're hoping to see that as well. This is going to be something. So you're tuned into the right stream. I want to give a quick shout out to My Radar. They are sponsoring today's stream. You can see the logo up there. They are one of the best weather apps that you can find for your phone. If you don't know them yet, check them out. They're completely for free, and we work closely together with them to get launch predictions, to get weather prediction for our team. So they're helping us greatly in the background, and that's why we have them sponsoring the stream. Another shout out goes to Redline Helicopter Tours. We did 2 flights yesterday with them to take some amazing pictures of the full stack on the pad. They're a local helicopter tourist flight helicopter team in South Padre Island. And if you go to redlineheli.com/Felix, I've said this so many times on episodes that I can just repeat it out of my head. You get $25 off a flight, and it is so worth it. I've done this flight twice by now, and I'm super jealous of our photographers who usually do this once a week. It is just absolutely amazing to sit in the helicopter with the doors open and experiencing the same views that you see on our episodes. It's just amazing. So it's definitely worth a visit. And the third one goes to Raptor Roost, because these people are the coolest that are out there at Starbase. They are sitting right outside the exclusion zone. This camera that you're looking at here is about half the distance between the pad and Raptor Roost is this camera, and Raptor Roost is right at the edge of the exclusion zone. So it's basically the closest you can get to viewing a launch at Starbase is this place. It's not South Padre Island. That's where all the tourists are going. If you want to feel the rumble, if you want to be as close to the action as you can, go to raptorroost.com for the next flight. It is so worth it. Cris is a super host, and if anybody out there is watching this right now, cheer for this flight. You guys rock. This is absolutely amazing. Okay, so here we are. Yesterday, as I said, we had the scrub. I'm really hoping that this is not going to happen today. And if it doesn't happen today, we're going to be in for a blast. If you have not ever seen a Starship launch, even on a stream, if you've not seen one in person, Starships are as large as you can imagine, basically. If you're standing in front of a Starship that is full stack on the pad, it feels like you're standing in front of the Empire State Building. If you watched the stream yesterday, I'm always trying to find new ways to convey the height, and it's really, really tough. Just telling you the height of it doesn't really bring it across. It's more than 400 feet tall, I think, in Imperial, and it is 124 meters, I think, in metric. So it is really, really tall, but that doesn't really give you anything. But what people have seen far more is Falcon 9. And yesterday on the stream, I already gave a little riddle for people to post a number. I'm just going to skip that now because there's probably going to be plenty of people that watched yesterday's stream. The comparison between a Starship and a Falcon 9 is not just the height. The height of a Falcon 9, including the fairing, is about the size of this booster that you can see there. So up to the point where it starts to get black, where the upper stage starts. That's about the height of a Falcon 9. But what's even more impressive is if you want to fuel a Starship with all the commodities needed for a launch, you need roughly 230 tanker trucks, which is an insanely large number. Imagine a parking lot as large as you can imagine it, filled with full-size semi-truck tanker trucks. All of that goes into this. And the comparison to Falcon 9 is that to fuel a Falcon 9, you only need 13. So even though a Falcon 9 is about 2/3 of the height of a Starship, it is way less volume and way less weight and way less thrust. Right now, a Starship is about double the thrust of a Saturn V moon rocket that brought us to the moon in the 1960s and 70s, and they want to ramp this up to 3 times the thrust. So this is a rocket that is super scale. It's never been like this before, and that often, if you really understand what I'm talking about right now, it answers a lot of those questions about why SpaceX is failing. Because it isn't just a larger rocket. It is a rocket that is so much larger, and it has so much new technology in it that they are struggling to find a way to build this. So they have a goal in mind, which is the largest ever built rocket. It is supposed to be fully and rapidly reusable. So the boosters are supposed to fly twice or thrice a day, and the upper stages at least once or twice a week. That's the minimum goal. They want to get it down to once a day. If they can, half a day. They want to use this like an airplane. And that is something that's never been done before, especially the mass production aspect is something that's never been done before. The fastest rocket production in the world right now is probably the Falcon 9. And they don't need to produce that many boosters because they're smart, they're landing them. But the upper stages in Hawthorne, they're being built in Hawthorne, California. And Hawthorne, if anybody from Hawthorne is watching this right now, you are my heroes for making this Falcon 9 program run so quickly. It is just absolutely amazing because they're pumping out 2.5 upper stages per week. That's insane. But it's just a small Falcon 9 upper stage. I'm saying just because this is still a masterpiece of work. It's just incredible how quick they can do this. But if you compare that to SpaceX's Starship, their goal is to produce 3 Starships per week. So that is even more than the Falcon 9 upper stages that they're producing right now. And we're talking the entire rocket. We're talking a massive beast of a rocket that is hard to compare to anything else. Even the Saturn V and the Russian N1 pale in comparison to Starship. And that is one of the reasons why, to the outsider who doesn't know much about the Starship project, it kind of feels like, why are they failing? They're constantly sending up Falcon 9s and they're launching astronauts to the ISS, and they can't even do this. Even do this is the problem. This is a completely different project. Its scale is like 10 times taller than Falcon 9. And even having this booster already validated, so flown, caught, and reflown, is a masterpiece of engineering. And That's what we're going to look at today for the 10th time, which is absolutely amazing. And we might even see the next Block 2 launch this year. And then after that, Elon Musk posted a really, really nice video yesterday that we're, of course, going to use on our next episode. He was standing inside the Star Factory and filming the production line. So if you're on X and you want to take a look at this, I've reposted this already because it's fantastic for us. We're these detectives in the background. The entire team is going to sift through this video, identify every little piece that we can see so that we can report this to you, which is super fun. This is the craziest job I've ever had. So thank you to everybody who's watching. You're making a dream come true for all of us here on the team, just so you know it. It's we don't take this for granted, and it is a very humbling feeling to be able to do this. And every time before I start a stream, I'm thinking, am I really doing this again? And yes, I am. This is flight attempt number 2 for Starship Flight 10, and we're just going to do this. If you have questions, again, I'm going to repeat this real quick. We already have quite a few. I'm going to start answering a few of those, hopefully together with Cris and Jonathan right away. If you've just tuned in, we're watching Starship Flight 10, Ship 37 on top, Booster 16 on the bottom. If you haven't liked it yet, we're at 5,800 viewers right now, and we only have 2,000 likes. Ramp it up. It's very important for us. You've heard this from many influencers and content creators on YouTube. We're always repeating this. There's a reason for it, because the YouTube algorithm needs these signals of you interacting with the content. It kind of sounds stupid, because normally you would say, hey, I'm watching it. Isn't that enough? But it isn't. So if you like it and if you subscribe to the channel, that makes the algorithm share the video further. And that's what we really, really need. First of all, we want to show the world this. This is the reason why I started the channel, is I wanted to talk about this so that people get to know it. And secondly, you're helping the entire team massively. So if you can, it's for free, like and subscribe. And with that said, I'm just going to start answering a few questions here, because thank you all so much for the coffee money. This is very, very much appreciated. So as I said, I'm going to take the super chats first, and there's quite a few here. So let's try if this works. And it does, and I want to display the question. Jonathan, it's not working. There it is. All right, Flight 10 part ducks, fly, fly, fly. I don't know exactly what you meant, and I hope it's not connected to the question about the chicken and the hen from yesterday. I was riddling about that the entire night until somebody told me that both are weights, and I didn't know. So thank you so much for the coffee money, Rob Trike. It's much appreciated. Enjoy the stream. And we're all rooting for Flight 10, that is for sure. We have Jesse Hain. I hope that is not connected to the hen from yesterday. You can do it, and I think the same. I've got good confidence with this flight. The problem is I've always had. So this is not a guarantee that the launch is going to happen. Cross your fingers, and let's wish this thing to the Indian Ocean, because the disconnect that is happening right now, because the last few fights were disasters, is that the public perceives this as a failure, which is completely not the case. Let me assure you of that. I'm doing this for a living. I'm analyzing this project, and if there's anybody in the crowd right now who thinks that this is a failure just because the last few launches didn't end in a soft touchdown on the ocean, we're zooming in on the pad here. Is there a reason? Okay, great. You just wanted to show you the views? Yeah, play around with the camera, sure. Distract everybody. No, it's okay. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, the failure aspect. It is a disconnect. The traditional media is reporting about this as a failure, because likely even more because of Elon Musk's political involvement, which this channel is not about, if you ever wondered. We're talking about rockets, and not just SpaceX's rockets either. We're talking about any interesting project. And the disconnect is there because media is pushing this agenda right now like crazy. SpaceX has already validated Mechazilla. That was a great idea that enables them to stack and unstack everything. It's just a versatile tool that I would have never expected in the beginning. When SpaceX said that they're going to build this tower that is going to lift rockets with chopsticks, a giant robot so to speak, in the dunes of Boca Chica. I first thought they were going crazy, but they did not. It is a great concept. Next up is the booster, which is, like I said before, already validated. It's launched, caught, and reflown. That's it. And the story, everything that comes after this is just improving the concept. And we're talking the largest ever built rocket booster, and it is fully reusable. That alone tells you that Starship is not a failure. Whatever anybody is going to tell you, this is not the case. The hard thing to crack is the upper stage, because such a large upper stage, being able to reuse it is something that has never been there. Even the moon missions left behind 70% of the weight that went to the moon was left behind. The only thing that came back down was a tiny, in comparison, capsule that had a heat shield and was built to survive re-entry. The space shuttle comes closest, but it isn't even. The starships are way bigger than space shuttles, and so on and so forth. And space shuttles weren't built to be rapidly reusable. Actually, it's almost at the edge of refurbishable and not reusable, because a lot of money and time needed to be invested into space shuttles to be able to be reused. That's not the plan for SpaceX. So that it's a tough nut to crack, and that's what they're working on. And this isn't something we should bash. This isn't something you shouldn't be the guy saying they're never going to do this. You should be the guy saying, imagine they can. And there is a team working on this. So change your mindset. If you've heard this too many times from the media or from politicians or anything, this is worth cheering for. And that's why we're doing this channel. And that's why everybody is watching this right now, which is completely nuts. And I'm very, very much looking forward to it. We're 15 minutes away from the fueling decision. So I'm going to speed go through a few more questions here, because you guys keep the super chats coming and we appreciate it very much. So here we go. We have Janine Della Cara. Thank you so much for the super chat. Hello, Felix. Photographers, those behind scenes and mods. Thanks in advance for all your hard work. Shout out to Steph. The beginning of shows rocks. That's what I tried to say before. I'm the guy you see on camera every time on the episodes, but there are so many people working behind the scenes as why. And that's what you're giving the super chats for. That's what you're supporting when you become a subscriber or a channel member or whatever. We have Robert, we have Richard, that's the two photographers at Starbase right now. We have tons of people working in the background to already working on the next episode, because we want to bring these news to you quickly, and so on and so forth. Everybody's concentrated on analyzing this. And the funny part of this is, whenever I chat to the team members, they're the same kind of space nuts that we all are. The only difference between you guys watching the stream and us guys producing the stream is we're producing the stream. That's it. Everything else is the same. So it is super, super fun to work with these people, and everybody on the team appreciates each other. So thank you so much for making this a shout out to the team and to the people, to the unsung heroes behind the scenes, because they really, really deserve this, and they're doing a fantastic job. And it's not just at Hawaii either. You have Lab Padre, you have NASA Spaceflight, you have a Starship Gazer who is constantly out there trying to take the best pictures for us. There are so many people interested in this and willing to spend so much time to bring you these news, and that's the people that deserve all the praise. So thank you so much for that. Okay, we have Jesse Hain again. Go Felix, go Starship, let's fly. There's nothing to add to that. Thank you so much. We have JWW, round 2, let's go. What about it is the best channel on YouTube. The only place I go for trusted SpaceX news. You don't know what this means to everybody on the team. These kinds of messages, when I find them under our episodes, when I find them under X posts, that's the essence. That's what keeps us going, because it's a lot of work, trust me. And knowing that there's people out there who really, really appreciate this is what keeps us going. So thank you so much for the super chat and for the appreciation. It's much appreciated. It really is. We have Astitva. That is a name I've known for a long time. Thank you so much for the super chat and for being here again today. Back to why, as always, you guys just do the best. SpaceX, fingers crossed. This blowtorch is going to blow people's minds. Lots of love to my dear Y team and Felix. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for appreciating what we do. That's the fuel that keeps us going, I'm telling you. So thank you for tuning in with us again. We have Tim Whitmer, thank you. White Oaks IT Solutions. So shout out to White Oaks IT Solutions. You rock. Thank you so much for the coffee money. It's much appreciated. Enjoy the show. We have Ronan Clancy. Thank you so much for the super chat. Hello from Ireland. Keep up the good work, Felix and team. Send lots of clover leaves, please. We need them today. Thank you so much. Shout out to Ireland, and another testament of the spaceflight community being a thing without boundaries. It's across the entire planet. During my 6 years of doing this channel, I've talked to people from every continent, and it makes me very, very proud to see that there is so much attention to this, because it could lead to a future that we can't even imagine yet. Starship is not just another rocket. All right, we have Christopher Schmidt. Thank you so much for the super chat. Question. Oh, I said that very, very German. This is in dollars, so it's probably somebody from the United States. So, yeah, Schmidt. Schmidt. Do you say that in English as well, like this? Christopher Schmidt? All right, here we go. Question. Been watching your channel since the Starhopper test. My question, yeah, that was early. My question is, why does the flame deflector activate 10 seconds before liftoff? All right. First of all, Pad 1 is a very peculiar design. Let's just say that. When they first started building this pad, I was wondering why they were building it this way, because it's omnidirectional openings at the bottom, meaning when the rocket ignites, the exhaust stream, which is you can imagine this as a bundle of energy, all sorts of energy. You have sound waves, you have heat, you have just pressure from the gases coming out. All of this is energy, and it needs to go somewhere. On Pad 1, it goes everywhere. It goes omnidirectional, as you can see these little that looks like a stool that the rocket is sitting on, and it is open into every direction, and that means it is really, really hard to control what comes out of the rocket. They're changing this on Pad 2 with a traditional flame deflector, and you build this so that the energy gets channeled into one direction, because then it's way easier to deal with. That isn't the case on Pad 1, and in the beginning, on launch number 1, which I saw in person at Starbase, which was absolutely shocking, they did not have a deflector system, a deluge system, nothing was in place. They just fired it at the concrete. And I stood at Raptor Roost, shout out to Raptor Roost again, and I saw these giant concrete slabs being thrown around all the way into the ocean, which was insane to watch. And that's what happens if you do not activate a deluge system before the launch. There's so much energy in all sorts of forms coming out of this rocket. From each of those Raptor engines has 250 tons of thrust. That is an insane amount of energy blasting out of it. And that stool, even though it looks tiny here, it's pretty giant, but it's not that tall. And so almost all the energy reaches the floor beneath the rocket. And you need to protect that. On Flight 1, they didn't. They dug a giant hole under the rocket, which was terrible for the entire project. It took them some time to fix it. Another public thing, because media, of course, grabbed this and said, look at that, what are they doing? Which is media. If you're working for media, just think about the headlines you're doing, but that's a different topic. And so the deluge system, water, is extremely good at dispersing energy of all kinds: sound energy, heat energy, pressure energy, all these different forms of energy that come out of these rocket engines hit billions and billions of little water droplets, and these water droplets turn into vapor. They expand, and that way they take the energy into that expansion. They transform it from heat and sound and all sorts of stuff into expansion, because they turn into vapor when they hit the flames, and the sound as well. The sound is so strong that it actually is able to heat up water and turn it into vapor. And because these thousands and millions and billions of little water droplets turn into vapor at the same time, the energy is transformed from harmful energy to expansion energy. And that's why you do this with rocket pads, why you especially use water, because water is really, really good at it. It is widely available. It is not a very expensive commodity. It's not a special exotic material that you need. It's just regular old water. And you spray it out before the ignition, 10 seconds before, so that you can assure that it is fully running when the engines ignite and not just starting up or anything. It takes a moment to shoot up, and so that you can be very, very sure that it is fully running when the engines kick in. That's the 10 seconds. And that's basically all there is to it. On Pad 2, that's going to slightly change. They're still going to use water and in all sorts of different ways, actually. On the second pad, they're going to have a internally cooled flame bucket. They're still going to spray water into that flame bucket as well. But the biggest difference is it's not going to be omnidirectional, which is going to also the photographers that take pictures of Starship launches are going to be so happy because right now, if you've maybe noticed, every time a launch happens, all the photographers bring out their pictures, and often these pictures are just a Starship peeking out of a huge cloud of something. And that is because this pad is sending all the water vapor and the exhaust omnidirectional, and that makes it engulf the rocket really, really quick. On pad 2, we're going to get beautiful ignition shots because all the vapor and everything is directed away from the pad, meaning you'll be able to clearly see the rocket when it lifts off, and that's going to be really, really nice. But that's a different topic. Okay, so I hope that answered your question. We have Jamie Wright. Hey, thank you for the super chat. Hey, Felix. Hi to the Y team. My question is, do you think they will do away with the regular heat shield and do a fully actively cooled heat shield? Yeah, that's a good question. Like on the new boosters. Do the new boosters have an actively cooled heat sheet on the bottom? I know that it's metallic now, but I don't know if it's actively cooled. That's an interesting question. But yeah, I've been saying for some time that this approach that SpaceX is doing right now is going to be very difficult to solve. We've seen it with the space shuttle. And if you want to have a heat shield that is rapidly reusable, you cannot inspect every tile after the launch. No matter how quickly you'll do it with AI and robots and whatever, it takes some time. Especially if you find tiles that are damaged, you need to replace those, which adds even more time. And it's a tedious process. If 9,000 heat tiles on that upper stage, imagine you have to check each and every one of them to be able to ensure that the heat shield is reusable. So in my opinion, Stoke Space, for example, has an upper stage concept with an actively cooled heat shield, and I think that's the smarter way to go. We'll have to wait and see what SpaceX does, and their engineers are really, really smart. So don't take what I say as more important than what the SpaceX engineers say. I do this for a living, and I know a lot about it, but I'm not an engineer working on the rocket, so I'll never get the full insight. I have to work with what I see on the outside. We're already seeing a pad vent here, by the way. This is really, really good. And we're 6 minutes away from the fueling decision. So fingers crossed that we're going to see the rocket launch today. The weather looks decent, at least. It should be good enough for a launch. So yeah, I expect if this doesn't work, which I kind of expect right now, we might see SpaceX switch over to something else. But if you're switching your method, you always have one thing that gets better and another thing that gets worse. Because right now these tiles, I have a few of them here. I can actually show you one. Give me just 1 second. This is a tile from a leading edge of one of the fins, so it's a little bit differently formed. It's not the hexagonal shape that you're used to from the standard tiles, but it's basically the same thing. And if you were holding this in your hand right now, you would find out that this is, even though it is very large, it is extremely light. It weighs almost nothing. People always get shocked when I do this, but it's extremely light. It weighs almost nothing. And if you switch to actively cooled tiles, you're going to go away from this silica foam that these tiles are made of. It's basically the same stuff that the shuttle used. The advantage of this, it is very, very good at dispersing heat, and it is very lightweight. If you switch over to an actively cooled tile, you will most certainly lose the lightweight aspect. So you're changing it to a heat tile or a heat shield that might be more reusable, but you add more weight at the same time. And that's often the case with engineering. If you change one thing to improve it, you're worsening other things. It is really frustrating. Anybody who's ever worked on an engineering project knows this. The sweet spot is always somewhere in the middle. You cannot hit the perfect on each aspect that the heat shield needs to do. It's always something that is getting worse if you're improving another thing. So we'll have to wait and see what SpaceX comes up with. But it's going to be very interesting to see, that's for sure. All right, I have many, many, many more super chats here, so I'm going to cut this a little bit shorter. Thank you. That was a really good question. We have Danny Young. Don't forget to talk about your amazing hair. Aha, you noticed. Shucks. I had a crazy sponsoring in February where my wife actually convinced me, she's laughing right now in the background, when I first heard from a company from Turkey that wants to give me a hair transplant. I probably reacted in the same way anybody would. The first thought was, what? A hair transplant? I don't need that. The second thought was I would have to travel to Turkey. I've been to Turkey once 15 years ago, and I don't speak Turkish. And how am I even supposed to do this? So to cut this a little bit short, Elliot Hare did everything. It was absolutely incredible. They picked me up at the airport, and they do that with anyone who does it. They picked me up at the airport, brought me to my hotel. I didn't need to even book the hotel. They picked me up at the hotel the next day, did the whole thing with me, and dropped me off at the airport. So if you're losing hair and you don't like it. I didn't like it. There's plenty of people who are perfectly fine with getting bald. I wasn't. I looked at the mirror and I was like, damn, you're getting old. It wasn't nice. It was really not nice. And I couldn't, Chris is laughing in the background there. Your hair is getting thin too, Chris. Now he's giving me the thumbs up. You can come in as well if you want to. So yeah, to cut the story short, I really wasn't happy with it, and I'm really, really happy that I found a solution with Elliot Hair that worked absolutely flawlessly. These people in Turkey know exactly what they're doing. It was a high-tech clinic that I walked through for like, there he is. See the hair?
Good evening.
Yeah, my hairline is better now. And so, yeah, it was amazing. It was really, really good. That's all I can say about it. So if you're having the same problem and it nags on your self-esteem, this is a really good solution, and it changed my life. It honestly did. It was really, really good. So thank you, Elliot Hair. That's all I can say about that. So thanks for pointing my hair out. I'm always like that. Okay. So we have Kevy44. Felix, is your voice okay today? So I seem to have found the reason why my voice was going away with it yesterday. I've got these headphones, and they're really good biodynamics headphones, and they are very much noise canceling. So as soon as I put them fully on, you might have not noticed, but today I'm wearing them like this, meaning there is audio coming through the headphones and I can actually hear my voice. I must have screamed like crazy yesterday because I couldn't hear my voice, and I don't have a monitoring signal in my headphones either. And so I must have just screamed today. Like my wife actually pointed it out, and Jonathan did too. You're so loud. And I was like, why? I'm just speaking normal. When we did our checkups before the stream, you do mic checks and camera checks and all that stuff. And they were pointing out that I was screaming like crazy. And I was like, what? No, I'm speaking normal. And then we found out it was the headphones dampening the noise. And so I must have screamed like crazy. And today everything's fine. I was riddled as much as you were. I sat down for the stream. Everything was fine the entire day. And I start talking on the stream and my voice goes away. You probably didn't notice because Jonathan can level the voice in the background. So it sounded to you as if I was normally speaking. If you would have stood next to me, I was screaming. So there you go. That was the entire reason, and my voice is fine. And thank you so much for caring. Okay, we have the next one that comes up that's technical. You can answer that, Chris, because I'm speed talking like crazy here. Michelle Welch, thank you so much for the super chat. It is so much appreciated. You can barely imagine. If you've just joined us, we're 8,500 people while we're waiting for SpaceX to, in basically 10 seconds, do the fueling decision for the vehicle. We're very close to that. If you've just joined us, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, consider becoming a channel member. It is really, really important for us. I know this is like a broken record, but that's how we finance our work. And we're pouring in thousands of hours into this stuff every month, and it's completely for free. Click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we are going to be jumping and we're going to be happy. And if you really want to make a difference, send us a super chat or become a channel member. That's so much for that. Thank you so much, Michelle. It is very, very much appreciated. Okay, next one. We have so many questions coming in today. We have Randy Friesenhahn. That sounds very German. Thank you so much for the super chat. Bro, it's a joke. What does a hen weigh? Yeah, I got it. About 5 pounds, old school boy joke. Love you and your team's work. Yeah, that's actually... It's being pointed out on episodes as well that sometimes I don't pronounce something correctly, which every American and English-speaking person normally should have learned when they were 3 years old. I am not from the United States. My English for a German, I think, is pretty good, but I'm not native speaker. So sometimes when you do these cultural references, it's really, really hard. I grew up with German jokes, and I'll know them all, and I'll instantly catch on to them. But in English, I know a few, but the hen way, I've never heard of that before. So thanks for pointing that out again. I'm learning. Thank you so much for being patient. Defiant, thank you so much for the generous donation. This is a huge amount. Thank you so much. Felix and team, keep up the great work and don't stop believing Mars is calling. That is exactly why I'm so fascinated with this project. It's the broader scale of what this could lead to is just changing the entire future of humanity. It's just insane. If this actually works, imagine me streaming in 3 years or so a Mars landing. Even if it is uncrewed, imagine what this would be. My wife is looking at me. What is it? Yes, absolutely. She was just, I'm getting into this flow of talking and talking. Chris, what do you got to say about this?
I just got to say about it that really Mars is so within reach. I mean, we're literally talking only a few more years. This is absolutely insane. I remember like 5 years ago, I was still a bit sad that I didn't see a moon landing in my lifetime. Yeah, and now I am totally
Same thing.
confident that I will make it to a Mars landing. Yeah, and
Isn't this crazy?
yeah, it is absolutely crazy. And I mean,
Yeah.
even just seeing Starship there in the middle of the screen, this thing is sci-fi. It
Sitting
is
there.
sci-fi, and it is working. We have seen it go, and again, each time I'm about to witness it again, it seems unreal. And
Yeah.
at the latest point, when you see the live cameras again from a spacecraft doing like 26,000 kilometers an hour and streaming in 4K, it's just sci-fi all throughout. It
Yeah.
just blows your mind.
It's completely nuts. Exactly. And that's why we're interested in this. And that's Mars is calling. Absolutely. That's the credo of the entire team in the background. Trust me. This isn't just another rocket. That's the thing. The scope of this project is way bigger than any other rocket has ever been before. And if this actually turns out to be working, it's not just going to be SpaceX dominating the launch market even more than they're already doing. It is going to give us a tool that enables us to do things we were not able to do before. It is a brand new thing. It is not just a larger rocket to bring even larger satellites into space. It's such it's hard to put into words. I mean, that's my job to put it into words, but I'm still struggling after 6 years.
I'm sometimes under the impression that we are at a point where we were with flight, when we went from propeller to jet. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was something that
Yep.
worked. You could go with a propeller plane, but being in the jet age was a completely different thing. And this is kind of where we are right now. We're going from super exotic, super expensive launch vehicles to something that you can rent for literally a few $1 million, which is
Yeah.
a lot of money, but not when you're talking space.
I would even go further and say not just from propeller to jet engine, but from the Wright brothers propeller plane to jet
Yeah,
engine. Because at the later age of propeller planes, before they just before they started doing
yeah,
airliners, they could already cross the ocean. We can't with rockets. We
yeah.
can't cross the ocean yet. And that's the thing. With Starship, we'll be able to cross that ocean for cheap money, reusable, mass producible. It is a completely different thing than a Falcon 9 rocket. It's not just a larger rocket. And that's what I'm trying to bring across all the time. So yeah, that's a good one. Thank you, Defiant, for the super chat. This is so much appreciated. Really good. Okay. We have JD Buck Mountain Bell. Thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate your team's hard work. Thank you so much for the appreciation. It is much appreciated. Thank you. We have Dwight Perkins. Thank you so much for your super chat. Felix, the joke goes, please take the trash to the henway. You ask, what's a henway? I say about 3 pounds. All right. Thank you for bringing
Something
that
like a
up
knock knock.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the cultural reference that is really hard to catch sometimes. You're sitting there being like, how can he not know this? And I'm sitting there, how can you not know about currywurst goed wies? You know, it's the cultural reference. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for explaining these kinds of things. I've had 600,000 English teachers for 6 years now. That's how it feels. But I'm really trying to improve this. I'm always busy when you have Chinese names coming up in an episode, or Indian names, or Hungarian names, and all these kinds of. I'm always trying to pronounce them as correct as I can. But then comes the person that's actually native to the language, and he says, "Yeah, dude, that was pretty good, but not." So yeah, that's the way it goes. Yeah, the weight of the hen. There we go again. It is what it is. Thank you so much for the super chat. Yes, I did. Yes, I did find out about the. I don't completely fully understand it yet, but I did. Thank you so much. Um, Okay, we've had that one already. That is kind of in the list again. We have Jeff Lovell. Thank you so much for the super chat. Love your site. Look to you to keep informed. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is what keeps us going. It is so much appreciated. Seriously, you cannot imagine. It's hard to imagine. Before I started the YouTube channel, I didn't even know what I was getting into. And if somebody would have told me 6 years ago that this is what's going to happen, I would have probably screamed and run away. It's good that I was eased into it. It is incredible. It's just amazing. Thank you guys so much. Seriously. We have Josef Lang. That sounds very, very German. Another Franziskaner for the team. Yes, he is. From greetings from Munich. One of my aunts lives in Munich, and she often watches this stream. So if you're watching this right now, greetings back to Munich to Josef and my aunt. And Franziskaner is one of the best beers I've ever had in my life. It is seriously a really, really good beer. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, and it's always nice to get some greetings from the old home. I'm hopefully going to go back in October to meet up with Cris, and then we're going to go to the ESA Open Days. That's going to be super fun. I've been there before. ESA is doing a really, really good public outreach job there. If you haven't been to an ESA Open Day yet, it is very much worth it. It is really, really cool for those in Europe. All right, cool. We have Salican 77. We should be past the decision by now as well. Were there any tweets?
Not yet.
Nothing yet. Okay.
Not yet.
Because we have a vent on the tower. We have a vent on the. I'm going to mark this again real quick for those. If that's the one thing, if you're in this job, you sometimes forget that people don't know as much as you do. So we have a. That's the wrong spot. All right, give me a second. So we have a vent going on here, and we have a vent going on up here. Those are the ones you have to look for right now. Once these stop, the ship is beginning its fueling. These vents are visible right now because SpaceX is circulating cryogenic liquids, in this case nitrogen, to those lines to cool them down so that they don't get a thermal shock once the ship and the booster start fueling. Because if you would just blast cryogenic fuel through a pipe that is before at room temperature, it gets a thermal shock. It's a rapid cool down, and it's never good for any material. So SpaceX chills these lines beforehand, and that's what you're watching there right now. So as soon as these stop, we know that they started fueling, or at least they get way less. All right, I'm gonna take that away again. All right, here we go. There's plenty of Germans here right now. We have Drinklink. Thank you so much for the super chat. Greetings from Ruhrgebiet. Continue your work. We will. Thank you so much. Greetings back. It's much appreciated. We have Eddie Marici. Thank you so much for your super chat. Hello, Felix. I see you more than my wife in the last 2 days. Go for it. That's pretty good. I mean, it's a kind of strange compliment, but I'll take it. Greetings to your wife, and tell her there is a very good reason why you've been absent for the past few days. This is what we all come together for, and it's always amazing to see how many people are coming together for this, and we're all smiling and we're all cheering. And I'm really hoping that SpaceX is going to do a tweet soon that they've done the decision. Right now, there's nothing there yet. I don't see anything, which is already concerning again. This always the anticipation is always so high on this stuff, but we'll keep you informed. No worries. Okay, so next up we have. There you go. Okay, so next up we have Alec Ross. Thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you, Team Y. Hoping all goes well. Fingers crossed. I hope so too. Thank you for the coffee money. It is very, very much appreciated. We have Leon Reeve. Thank you so much for your super chat. Hi, Felix. I've followed your channel for some time now. Always enjoy your vids. Your kids. My kids are sometimes in the episodes as well, especially in sponsor messages. They always love testing out the stuff. Keep up the good work, mate. Starship will nail it tonight, I'm sure. Are you from Australia? Because you said mate. I might be. I don't know though. It's just a speculation. Exactly. It's like it reminds me a lot of Marcus House. But though he's from Tasmania, that's another thing. There's some local pride there. If you call a Tasmanian an Australian, that's thin ground to move on. But I do understand that's it's a different island, so that's absolutely clear. All right, cool. We have Moroni 3756. Thank you so much for your super chat, Felix and the team. Thank you for the amazing work you're doing. I've been following the channel for about a year now, and you guys are quickly becoming my primary source of space news. Thank you. Seriously, it is very, very much appreciated. And you see Chris smiling there. Everybody else on the team is smiling as well when I read these kinds of messages. It's my wife is giggling. Everything. It's really the fuel that keeps us going. It really is. It's reading this kind of stuff. I've said it many times before. One of the strangest things about being a YouTuber is that you know that there are 4 million people every month watching our content, but I know like 10 of them. And there's really also no real chance to get to know them. And so these live streams are always I'm reading the chat, I'm answering questions, I'm hyping Starship together with you. By the way, we haven't seen a hype train yet, and it's warranted. SpaceX people watch this, so if they see the hype train going, maybe they're doing the fueling decision, because it looks like they haven't done one yet. I'm really hoping for it. But what I wanted to say is that it's really strange. It's really strange, and it never gets less strange either, knowing that there are so many people, and then when you write these messages, it moves us. So thank you so much for doing that. It is very much appreciated. We have Ron Zeipel. Thank you so much for your super chat. Felix, greetings to you and the Y team tuning in from East Tennessee. There you go. We drove through Tennessee just recently. Personal question. Have you had any traction with getting a permanent visa? Nope. We're still here on what's called a business visa. It's a temporary visa. It is a non-permanent citizen visa. I think that's the name. And it's really, really tough for us to even get one. I've applied for a family visa, green card, because half my family is from the United States. That's one of the reasons why I do have some sort of a German accent, but not that much. Is because I learned English when I was like 3 years old. My sister lives in Milwaukee. My brother lives in New York. If you're watching this, hey guys. And so I have roots here in the US, and so I can apply for a family green card. And I just recently, 2 weeks ago, checked how far I am along. We applied for that green card 3 years ago, and it's another 18 years for me to wait. So it's not going to work. I'm going to get that thing when I'm like 65 years old, which is completely crazy. And there aren't really any other options. There is one other way that we haven't tried yet, and we might just do that. But it is really hard. Even though we've opened up a company and we employ U.S. citizens and everything's happy, and normally the U.S. government should be like, yes, you can stay. They don't. It's just not the way that it works right now, and I wish it was different. And if you know a senator, or if you're one, or if you have any political influence or something, please do tell your colleagues that you should change this, because there are some people that you should let into your country. I mean, I love it here, and I'm not ever been in contact with the law, of course, or anything, and I really, really like it, and I wish I could become a citizen. That's the first thing I would do if I can. So yeah, no, sadly, there's no news in that regard. But I'm not gone yet, so we'll see how that turns out. We have Rafael Pilla. Thank you so much for your super chat. Hi, Felix. Since you said checking 9,000 tiles may take time, what about using an automated imaging setup with software analysis between flights? That way, manual work is just replacing damaged tiles. Yeah, Chris, if you want to, you can answer that one as well. I've been talking for a while now, but voice is still good.
Yeah, volume is great too.
Thank you.
I think the main problem here is that as long as we have to expect to change tiles in between flights, we're still not where the goal is set. And we really need to get to a point where it is working basically like an airliner today. It has to be something that's coming in and that is checked, of course. I mean, every airliner captain has to take their walk around the airplane before they start, because they visually check it, but they only really have the time to visually check it. And of course you can employ cameras and AI to spot any damage, but this can't be something that's regular. This is something that has to happen like once in 100 flights, maybe. Yeah, but you just can't rely on changing tiles in between flights. This will never like come to the sort of rapid reusability that we want to.
Yeah, that's what I would have said exactly. Chris knows his stuff. He, by the way, if you don't know yet, Chris is one of our script writers, and he is a very talented guy, and I'm very happy to have him by my side. So just on the side. Yeah, that's the problem. You could automate it with AI. It's probably not going to be that hard. So you can have an arm move to every tile, scan it, and compare it, and run it through an AI to visually check if there's any problem, and then you can have maybe you could even get a robot to replace these tiles quicker, but that's not SpaceX's goal. SpaceX's goal is to make it rapidly reusable, and rapid reuse means no checks. It's the goal is to have something, as Chris said, like an airplane, like a jetliner, an airliner. It lands, it taxis to the gate, people get out, new people get in. Before that, they hopefully cleaned it. New luggage goes in, and then the pilot in between these flights, they don't even walk around it. I think, do they?
I think they have to.
They to see, but it's just a 5 minute check, a visual check, and that's all. They rattle a little bit here, and they knock a little bit there, and that's all it needs, and then it flies again. That's where SpaceX wants to go. So fixing a huge issue by making the fix faster is really not the approach SpaceX wants to go, and that's the reason why they're struggling so much. They could just build this rocket out of aluminum or composite, and it could already be in orbit. New Glenn just recently launched, and the first launch went to orbit. Everything's fine, but that's because it's a rather traditional rocket. Even if they want to reuse the booster at some point, and they're hopefully going to, it is way more a traditional rocket than Starship is. The goal of Starship is not to build another traditional rocket. The goal is to figure out a mass-producible rocket, and that's a completely different thing. Even without the added size and rapid reuse, only the mass production aspect is already ramping it up so much. It's a completely different design. That's what most people don't understand when they talk about Starship. It's like, why do they get the Falcon 9 into space, and they're so struggling with the Starship? Failure after failure. What is this? How can they even introduce Block 3 when they're not flying Block 2 securely yet? And so on and so forth. It's because they are not interested in building a rocket that survives one launch and it takes half a year to build. They're interested in doing something designing something that can be built like a car. 3 of them per week, insane, or actually per day, I think. Wasn't it per day?
Yeah.
Wasn't it even per day? Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine a factory that spits out 3 Starships per day. That is the goal. And to reach that goal, you can't deal with with these kinds of problems. You need to filter them out. Otherwise, you're not going to launch 3 per day, no matter how quick you make the replacement. So that was the perfect answer there. Yep. That's the problem. That's what they're working on. Crash and Burn, thank you so much for the super chat. Do you think...
1 second real quick.
Oh yeah, right.
This is Jonathan from the backend, and we did just get an update on the SpaceX website, and they pushed the countdown by roughly 40 minutes. No update on X yet, so nothing about fueling or anything. But we are at T-minus 1 hour and 10 minutes now, roughly, and not just below 1 hour.
The tower vent is getting smaller and smaller right now, as I can see.
Yep.
That is definitely decreasing. What did you say, 40 or 14?
14. So we are at
14 is
T-minus
great.
1 hour and 10 minutes now, and before we were roughly at 55 minutes.
For everybody who doesn't know, the launch window is roughly 1 hour. So if they have to extend further than that, they cannot launch it, and there's definitely no time to recycle. So once you've started your fueling process, that's the ticket for the day. But it kind of looks like there's actually some cold appearing on the ship and the booster right now. It looks like it to me. Look at this. It's hard to tell. This is a 4K camera, but it is a bit further away from the pad, so it's always hard to tell. But what you should look out for is this area here, is this area down here, and it is this area up here. Those are the areas where you can see the thrust line appear first, because the upper one is right above the engine section, and the lower 2 ones, that's the engine section of the booster, which is a little bit, the aft dome, the beginning of the tank is a little bit elevated from the pad, so you can see it pretty good. And that other one in the middle is just the upper tank of the booster, and those are the easiest spots. And it kind of looks like it's turning. It kind of looks like it's forming a little bit of frosting there, but we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. Everybody stare at the frosting. That's the most important step before we get any. But look at the tower vent. The tower vent is completely gone now. And that would fit a started fueling process. Yeah. But we'll see. We'll wait and see. We're waiting and seeing all the crystal ball predictions fail in the end anyway. Okay, so do you think they will ever fit wind? Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Can you put that on screen real quick? The one that's currently showing. Oh, it's currently showing. There you go. Crash and burn. Yeah, I'm staring at my tool down here and I didn't realize that it's already on the stream. Crash and burn. Thank you so much for the super chat. Do you think they will ever fit windows on the candle? Then they go for human flight. Chris, that's another one. Why don't you, I've been like, I want to integrate you. So answer.
I think I mean on the very first drafts that we've seen from Starship, we had a huge window basically. Yeah, we had a segmented huge window, but I don't think we will see that. Yeah, but I'm totally certain that we will see windows once we go for human spaceflight. I mean, look at the Dragon capsule that also has the option to look out, and I think they already figured out how to make a window that you can put through the stresses of a start. Also, if you wanted bigger windows, you could as well just put some sort of shielding on them. But I'm totally certain that once we go for human starts on a Starship, we will see windows up there.
Yeah. Musk once said, if you want to inspire people, you have to make them see the future. And there is something about that. There's a reason why SpaceX's flight suits, for example, look so fancy, sci-fi, and why the inside of a Crew Dragon looks way fancier than anything we've seen in crewed vehicles before. That's not just because it would be more practical or anything. There's a deliberate thought behind it. If it looks future, people will get inspired. That's just how it works. If it looks like somebody taking out the trash, yeah, he's going to the moon, but look at him. But if he flies to the moon in a fancy suit that looks totally sci-fi, it has more effect. And that's kind of the same with the windows. I know we're running submarines across the oceans without any windows, and it's not needed. And it's kind of the same with a spacecraft. You don't need the window. You can just have a camera outside and a monitor on the inside, and it's going to be way easier to design. But if we can't see it with our own eyes, are we going to be inspired? Isn't a very, very important aspect of exploration actually seeing it? That's how we humans work. And that's why I do think, the same way you just said it, Chris, that the windows are very, very important. Even if they add engineering challenges, even if they make the vehicle less rigid and less sturdy, and it's more complex to design and there's added weight to it as well, it is important that we see it. Otherwise, we don't have to go. Now, Chris, that wasn't literal. He just disappeared. Take him off for now. As soon as he's back, we're going to put him back on. I said disappear, and he went. I hope that wasn't because of me. But yeah, it is very important that we're seeing things. We're human beings. We need to experience things to have them become real. That's why I'm always saying, if you have the time, go to Starbase, look at a Starship, because it turns out, there he is again. You can put him back in. If you see something with your own eyes, it turns into reality. Right now, if you are watching this stream, we have like 13,000 people watching right now. Thank you, by the way, for tuning in. If you've never seen a Starship in real, you don't know what it is. You're seeing it on this stream, and you theoretically know it's gigantic and so on and so forth. But if you haven't seen it with your own eyes yet, you don't know. It's like looking at a picture of the Empire State Building and standing in front of the Empire State Building and looking up. It's a completely different experience. And that's the same with these windows in the spacecrafts. We need to be able to see things. Otherwise, we're not going to be inspired. Sending robots isn't the same.
One last thing about the window. I mean, when you're looking for the inspirational part, just look at the most iconic piece of the ISS. It's the cupola. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows the shape. Yep. Yeah, that's just exactly the thing. It's a window to the world, or a window to space. Just matter way.
It's what Don Petit takes his pictures out of. Exactly. That's the thing. It's very important to be able to see things with your own eyes. It makes it real. That's what astronauts talk about, the overview effect that they always talk about when they go to space for the first time and they see the planet. And that changes their view of the world. If they don't see the planet, if they look at it through a monitor, it is going to be exactly the same thing as being down here, just with a little bit more G-force when you're going up. But that's it. It's kind of like watching a stream with a rocket simulator around you. Great. Yep. It's still not going to be there. It's not real. It's a screen. And that's why windows are very important. I'm actually hoping that they're going to do something like those big windows on the nose cone. I know those were very aspirational, but man, it would be nice. It's what's needed. It is really what's needed. So yeah, that was an excellent question and one that I've been talking about for a long time now. Jumbo Smooth, thank you so much for the super chat. Felix, have you read the Bobbyverse book series? It is so good. I have not, and I'm going to copy
What?
this out right now. I have
Seriously?
not. No, I haven't. I'm sending this. I'm copying this out right now because I love when you guys suggest these kinds of things because it's like you're the same as I am. References and suggestions coming from this community are always good. So thank you so much for that. I'll try to take a look as soon as I can. Okay, we still don't have a decision here, but the tower vent is completely gone. Do we see any frost? Can we zoom up on the ship? Anything? Anything we can spot, maybe? Let's take a closer look. It's the advantage of having a PTZ. You can control it and take a look, and we have a 4K sensor in there. So even though the camera is far away, we have a lot of resolution to play with. And so we can see things in great detail. Yeah, 1.6 miles away, which is good because this camera is not cheap. I would not put it next to the pad. Nothing yet. Not as much as I can see. Nope. Well, we'll wait and see. Maybe it's the quick disconnect. Oh, I don't want to jinx anything. I didn't say anything. You did not hear me say anything. Okay. Sergio Woosh, thank you so much for your super chat. What is yours and crew's favorite sci-fi show, and why is it The Expanse? Yeah, The Expanse is way up there. It is a wonderful show because it's I think the only show that has ever tried to paint a realistic view of the future in a sci-fi scenario. So it's not like For All Mankind, which is also painting a realistic picture, but it's not truly sci-fi. It's still very much connected to what we're doing nowadays. They're slowly transitioning to somewhat sci-fi, but it's still perfectly possible with today's tech and so on. The Expanse went all out sci-fi, but tried to keep it realistic, and I honor that. I love this because most shows just skip it and say it's sci-fi. We don't need to be realistic. They actually tried and they succeeded, so that's a great show. But my favorite is it's a hard race. It's The Next Generation. I'm an 80s child. And Captain Picard, even though I did not want to get bald, was my hero when I was young, and it was just so amazing to see him when I was a little kid, and that burned itself into my brain. And so it's probably always going to be that. Closely followed by Voyager, because I really like Captain Janeway. She rocked this ship so much. And then Babylon 5 is a very underappreciated show in my opinion. I really like that one. Cris is giving me thumbs up. What do you think? What's your favorite?
Mine is B5, hands down.
There you
I'm a
go.
complete tracker, but Star Trek, brilliant, yeah. But Babylon 5 has just such an amazing story, and I would really love to see that redone, but faithful to the stuff. It really
Or
deserves it.
continued.
Just
Yes,
yeah,
it would.
please.
Yeah, very much. It's like
Yeah,
I said, it's underappreciated.
absolutely.
It's at this point, it's almost not mentioned anymore. Everybody always mentions Star Trek and a few other very successful ones, but Babylon 5 at its time was extremely successful, and it was very well produced. It was really cool. The entire story plot was brilliant, and so on and so forth. So yeah, totally, 100% agree. If anybody,
Okay.
any producers out there, yeah.
I will interrupt you guys real quick again. It's me from the off. And we do have another update. The countdown was moved by another 14 minutes. We're now again at T-minus 1 hour and 30 minutes. New liftoff time is 6 p.m. and 59 minutes. Yeah, so roughly half an hour
59,
into the
so
window.
we're half an hour into the window. We're still good, everybody. We're still good. We're waiting, and we're waiting for the frosting on the launch cake here. It's still not there.
Yeah, we're roughly
So they should be
20,
like
25
40
minutes
seconds away from the
fueling.
decision again, or what?
Yeah, exactly.
No.
We're basically at the decision. Like, decision was 3 minutes ago now, and we're 25 minutes away from fueling. And we have another
So they
30
seem to
minutes
be
left in the window.
It sounds like they're having ground equipment issues again. Otherwise, you don't push and push and push. You just go through because everything checks out. So they might be having problems, but they haven't called it yet, which means they might be having problems that they can fix. Sometimes it's just a sensor glitch or a valve that doesn't want to open the first time, but then it does, and so on and so forth. And it doesn't need to close afterwards either. There are some components there that you can fondle around with until they work, so to say. So we'll see if SpaceX can manage this. If you're watching this, if anybody from SpaceX is watching this, we are rooting for you. Everybody here is like 13,000 people watching right now. We're all rooting for you. You're doing a fantastic job. Launch it whenever you can. Don't press it. We really want to see this ship go to the Indian Ocean and nowhere else. And so take your time. We're going to stream this a third and a fourth and a fifth time if we need to. Of course, I would love to see a launch today. We all do, but we'll wait and see. So thank you, Jonathan, for the update out of the off. Thank you so much, everybody, for sending in so many super chats. It is very, very much appreciated. This is fan funding, as we say it behind the scenes, is the most important funding we have at What About It. It is independent from everything else. It is very, very stable, and it comes from the people that we are trying to give this content to. So thank you so much for everything. For everybody who has just joined and who doesn't know what's happening here today, we are watching SpaceX's Starship Flight 10. We have Ship 37 on the top and Booster 10 on the bottom. We're waiting for a fueling decision, which has been pushed twice now, but we're still 30 minutes away from the end of the launch window, so we're still good. We're waiting for them to make that decision. This is attempt number 2. Yesterday, the attempt was canceled, scrubbed, as we say, because they had some problems with the ship quick disconnect, which is this thing here up top. Give me a second. There we go. It's this arm here up top, which fuels the upper stage. They had an oxygen line that was leaking, and it needed to be fixed before they could proceed. They did fix that today. Hopefully, we're still waiting. Right now we know as much as you do. We're relaying the information as quick as we can, of course, as soon as we get it. But we're all waiting for the same thing, and that's the fueling decision. If they are proceeding with that, I'm going to take this out again. That's what we're doing. A huge and massive shout out goes to My Radar, one of the best weather apps you can get out there. And I'm not just saying it because this stream is sponsored by them. It's genuinely the case. It is a brilliant app. It is for free. It gives you everything you would need to ever have. Even for meteorologists, it gives you all the data you could have. It gives it to you simple. It gives it to you complex if you want it. It is completely for free. Check it out in the App Store. They completely deserve it. And we collaborate with them because we use their weather data for basically everything, for team coordination, launch weather predictions. Everything goes through My Radar, and it is very, very much appreciated. So thank you so much to My Radar. Another shout out goes to the crazy folks at Raptor Roost. They are the craziest bunch out there, and it is so much fun watching a rocket launch at Raptor Roost. It is right next to the exclusion zone, so it is as close as you can get by law to these launches. It will rattle you, it'll shake you, and it'll be an experience you can barely top with anything. So if you ever want to go out to Starbase and you want to watch a launch by yourself in person, go to raptorroost.com. Is it raptorroost.com? Or is it raptor-roost.com? I think it's raptorroost.com. If it isn't, send a link into the chat, dear moderators. They deserve it. Shout out to everybody at Raptor Roost. You guys rock. And the third one goes to Redline Helicopter Tours, because these guys are just absolutely amazing. They are bringing us all the aerial pictures that we use on our channel. And on top of that, as a thank you to the community, we are giving shouts back to them. Go to redlineheli.com/Felix if you ever at Starbase. This is not just because we're working together with them. I've done these flights myself. They are worth every penny. It is absolutely amazing to cruise around Starbase in a helicopter with doors off, and you can experience everything. It's just amazing, and you'll have the best pictures you'll ever get of this kind of stuff from that helicopter. It's the same view that we show in our episodes. You get $25 off if you go to that link. Do it if you're ever at Starbase. It is so worth it. It really, really is. I've done the flight twice, and I'm very jealous of our photographers who do it once a week. And I'm telling them whenever I can. So that's it. And that's what we're trying to find out right now, is SpaceX pushing the fueling decision, and we'll see what happens. The tower vent has stopped, which means that they have stopped chilling the lines. But now that there is no frost line building up, this might mean that they found a problem with the ship quick disconnect again, because the OLM is still venting. The OLM is still pre-chilling. It is probably right now absolutely fully prepared for the fueling process to start. As you can see, the tower vent, which is normally visible here, if you've just joined before, I think it stopped like 10 minutes ago or 15 minutes ago, 20 minutes. It's hard to tell. I didn't look at the clock, but before it looked like this down here. And that has stopped. There is no venting visible up there anymore. That means either they started fueling or they stopped pre-chilling the lines. If they would have started fueling, we'd see frost lines on the vehicle. We don't. So it kind of looks like they've stopped pre-chilling the lines, which wouldn't be a good sign. We're waiting for a decision from SpaceX. That's all we can do is look at signs from the outside and relay the information to you as quick as we can, of course. And we're going to do that. Trust me. For now, we're waiting. We are waiting. We are waiting. All right, and while we're waiting, we can answer tons of questions. If you have a question, put it into the chat. Hashtag question makes the system pick it up. Don't do anything nasty or inappropriate. We'll sort them out. And if you want to boost it, of course, attach it to a super chat. Those are going to be prioritized because for anybody willing to sponsor our crazy hobby, we're going to prioritize you guys because you're very, very close to our hearts. What's up with you?
Hobby. More like obsession.
Oh yeah, I said hobby, and Steffi says from the off it's more like an obsession. Kind of is, but it's a really, really fun obsession. So thank you so much for sponsoring this, and you are the closest to our hearts. All the sponsors, all the people who actively support us are the hardcore fan base, and we thank you so much for this. Thank you so much. Okay, so that was the favorite sci-fi show. Next up, we have Simon Visa. Simon Visa or Simon Weezer, but there's a Euro sign, so I'm presuming Simon Visa. There you go. Oh yeah, no, he's even. I should have maybe. Kannst du mal etwas auf Deutsch sagen? Schaue dich schon länger, aber kenne dich nur auf Englisch. Liebe Grüße aus Innsbruck. Is that enough? Well, of course. I can absolutely fluently speak German because I grew up in Germany. I've been to the United States many times before. I moved here and I was always a huge fan of the United States, and I got to give it to the Americans. We moved here with the entire family and we were greeted with open arms. So shout out to the US. You're a special bunch of people, and it is an honor and a pleasure to be here. And that's exactly how we're going to keep it this way. The United States is a very, very fascinating country. All the achievements this nation has done and all the quirks and kinks, and running into the hurricane with an American flag is exactly my thing. So thank you so much for being crazy, for staying crazy, and for being a great nation. That being said, yes, I am from Germany. Ich bin hier aufgewachsen. Ich spreche fließend Deutsch, und eigentlich komme ich aus dem Rheinland. Also für alle, die gerade zuhören und Deutsch sprechen, ihr werdet jetzt hören, dass ich also gerade in einem Akzent spreche. Und das ist, because ich bin aus dem Rheinland. That probably made a few people very, very laughing right now, because you've never heard me speak like this. That was a dialect local from the area that I hold the dearest to my heart, the Rhineland in Germany. That's where my heart and soul were before I moved to the United States. Yeah, there's plenty of ha-has in the chat right now, because the Rhineland accent is known in Germany for sounding funny. I have no clue why. Go for prop load. I just heard Steffi was screaming, go for prop load. That would be amazing. So out of the laughter about the Rhineland accent, we're going straight into prop load. That would be really, really nice. Where was this published? SpaceX. Yes. All right. So there's the good news for the evening is we're go for prop load. So there we go. Kölsche Jung, exactly. So I already found a place where I can get my favorite German beer, which is Reisdorf Kölsch, which you cannot get anywhere in the United States, but I found a place where you can get it, and I'm very happy about it. That culture is very close to my heart, and the people in the Rhineland are very open-hearted, very integrating people. It's a special bunch of people. I love going back every time. So shout out to the Rhineland, and we're going to continue this with a little less German accent here. So Simon, that was a really good one. Thank you. I'm just going to keep speed talking here because you guys you keep sending in these super chats. Thank you so much for doing this. This is so much appreciated. You can barely imagine. If you haven't done so yet, we have 15,000 people watching, but we have 4,000 likes on the stream, 4,600 likes. Boost this up to 10,000. It is very, very important for us. It is completely for free to click that like button. And if you appreciate us goofing around, showing you German dialects and talking about frosting up starships, press the like button. It's very important for us. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet, because it boosts us up in the algorithm like crazy, and more people get to see our crazy stuff that we're doing here at What About It. And it is the best thing you can do for us for free. If you want to go past that, you can become a channel member or a patron. You can buy a t-shirt on our merch store. You can go crazy with all sorts of stuff in the background, and we'll make sure that it's worth your money. We're posting galleries, ad-free episodes, chats with me. Our Discord server opens up for you for $1 a month. It is very, very much appreciated. All the support that you give us keeps us doing exactly this, because a lot of money and work goes into what you're seeing here right now, even if we talk in Kölsch sometimes. All right, so here we go. We have Jonathan on the camera. Yes.
While I'm here, we can just take a quick look at the pre-launch timeline, because we did get the confirmation for the go for prop load now. So that must have been 15 minutes ago to the countdown, roughly. And then in 7 minutes, we should start seeing extra fuel for the ship loading. So then we should start seeing those white lines and the frost on the ship. Yeah, not much longer.
Nice. I'm so happy. After yesterday, when that turned out to be a scrub, it's always this, you're anticipating this for so long. For the last few days, I've been counting down the days on X of having the count from Sesame Street, counting down the numbers. I'm and everybody else is here as well. It's the same thing with us space nuts. Thank you for being space nuts out there. You're anticipating this so much, and then SpaceX says we can't proceed because of some stupid ground equipment failure. So fingers crossed that we're going to see the frost line, that the decision is made, and we're tracking to a launch again. We're an hour away now. It is absolutely amazing. I can't wait to see them do this again. Okay, so I'm going to take a 5-minute break here, because I've been speed talking, but my voice is good. I just need to go take a toilet break. So I'll be right back. Please stay with us. Jonathan and probably even Cris, if he's ready to do this, are going to. Yes, he is. They're going to jump in for me for a moment, and I appreciate everyone so much out there. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. This is a pure joy again, and I'm looking forward to this every time, because it's the only way that we can actually get in contact with our viewer base in an easy way. So I'll keep reading the chat, and you'll keep chatting with me, maybe get another hype train going. We're all enjoying this very much. Thank you so much for watching with us. I'll be right back in a minute. Thank you.
Hi guys, just had to change the camera. This one goes out to Sony. Please manage to build your cameras in a way that they just don't overheat. That would be so appreciated.
Yeah, it's very funny. Yesterday, Felix had problems with the camera, and now it's Cris. I got a Sony camera here as well, so I don't know how long this one is going to last. So maybe my cam's going to fade out in like a few minutes as well. But yeah, if you're just joining us, we're here to watch SpaceX's second attempt for Starship Flight 10. They scrapped yesterday due to an issue with the ground systems, more specifically the fueling connector on the ship, the quick disconnect that you can see roughly on the bottom of the ship there on screen. And yeah, we're go for fueling roughly since 15 minutes, and we should start to see the frost lines on the ship in roughly 7 minutes. So getting closer.
Absolutely. I just saw the next question came in, and it's a good one. How much does a hen weigh? And on Mars, I would say about 3 Martian pounds.
This question is getting out of hand.
That
If everyone is
should
new,
be the
we
right
had this joke
answer.
here probably like 10 or 15 times now.
But thank you for the super chat anyway.
Let's see if we can do a few more questions. Let's see. This one is actually a non-super chat question. And Vintage 4 Channel is asking if we're going to see a catch of the Starship this time. And I think we definitely need to differentiate between the Starship and the booster here. But Cris, you want to let us know a bit more?
Yeah, we won't see a catch at all. I mean, we are still not at the point where we are expecting to see ship catches at all. And we're definitely not seeing a booster catch this time as well. It's been made public, and they simply have no reason to. They proved that they can do it. Also, we are at the point where we are fading out the block 2, so there's no need really to save these boosters. The technology goes on. They tried that out. What we will see if everything goes perfectly is a virtual catch. That means that the booster will fly in over the Gulf, and it will basically home in on a tower that is not there. It's just virtual, but it's doing the same process. So they're training. They still get data out of it, but no, we will not see the catch.
Yeah, and then I think I probably can't find this question, but I saw another one that was asking about where we're going to see the ship, upper stage, come down if it's going to make it that far. And that's the Indian Ocean, right?
Yes, yes, that's true. And I really hope that they really make a landing exactly where they're supposed to do it, because then we are getting these buoy shots again. They have buoy cameras. We have seen it before, and it's just really awesome to see this huge piece of metal come down over the ocean and then hovering before the engine cuts off, because it basically did what it's supposed to do. And I really hope we get that far. We might not, even if the ship performs all right during the coast phase and everything. They are trying in a way that it could destruct the ship on the way down. They are really going in a steep angle. They're trying to put stresses on the ship. So don't be disappointed if we don't make it in one piece to the surface. What we want to see is a cool coast phase. We want to see the payload door open. We want to see the dummy satellites come out. Yeah, and the engine relight. And then we're absolutely happy. And I'm so happy that we are going full fueling. I was really thinking for a moment that we will be here tomorrow again. And I really hope it's just going through and it just goes perfect.
I mean, we've been to the fueling yesterday as well. I think for like
I
5 minutes
know.
probably was fueling, and
Don't
then
jinx it.
the levels went down again. Knock on wood.
Yep.
I hope so much that's not gonna happen today. Yeah, and if we again look at the timeline real quick, yeah, so we're just about 5 minutes away, even 4 minutes from ship fuel loading, and then just 7 minutes later we're gonna have the ship LOX loading. So we should definitely start seeing some activity on the ship there in a few seconds, few minutes. Yeah, fingers crossed for that.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's see. Okay, here we have another question from Joel Landau. Thank you for your super chat, first of all. And he's asking if they need both reproducibility and mass production for Starship. And what do you think about that, Cris?
Yes. Yes, they do. If they would really want to go through with their plans, which is, I mean, that Elon literally talked about sending 1,000 starships to Mars. It's just an incredible amount, and that's the reason why they have to build so many, because it's really rapidly reusable. That means it's not getting destroyed. But if it's on a long haul flight, it's not coming back soon. So yes, they will have to mass produce if they really want to get to the point of putting civilization on Mars.
Yeah, I mean, of course, achieving one of both is already pretty great, but both is definitely needed in the end.
Yeah, totally
Okay,
agree.
let's see. Mr. Prappy is asking if we will show the SpaceX live coverage on the stream. And of course, we will. And as far as you can see, SpaceX is still planning to go live in roughly 10 minutes. And as soon as we have their feed and their start to talk, we'll pull them in here. And then you can listen to what the smart people over there at SpaceX have to say. Okay, cool. Let's see. Yeah, we could probably also touch on the in-flight events real quick, what we're going to see happen during the flight, hopefully, if we're going to get this far today. So
We will. I have a good feeling.
I mean, my feeling has always been pretty good for Starship launches, and then the last few times it has, slowly trickling down with all the positive energy. But yeah, still, let's say 99%, not 100%, 99% positive today. And yeah, similar to last time, we were gonna try to see a payload deploy demo. Have we ever seen payloads deployed in Starship? No, right?
Nope. Nope. This is the one thing that they still have to prove. This is I think the main reason why we're still going through with the Block 2 ships. That's the one useful result they can deliver. That we're trying to the deployment of the dummy satellites. That's the one thing they have to figure out, because remember, Starship is also made to make money, and the reason or the way that they can do it is to launch bigger Starlink satellites with it. It can deploy a lot more than you can do with Falcon 9, and also they can have a different type on there. And so this is going to be the new standard launch vehicle for Starlink as well. And in order to do that, they need to get the deployment done. And they're doing this through a door that's basically a slit in the ship that has to open up. And behind that, we see venting on the tower again. We are chilling the lines again.
Let's go. Yeah,
Yeah,
and we are
that's a good
also
sign.
at T-minus 53 minutes, so we should be right at that time when fueling on the ship is supposed to start. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see the frost lines appear at any second. Yeah, back to the satellites, the test satellites. I think it's going to be 8 demo satellites,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, as far as I know, it's 8.
Cool.
And they will be dispensed through the PES dispenser device, and they will float right behind the ship. So it's on the same trajectory as the ship, which means they will re-enter on the same trajectory as the ship does. And so they're supposed to simply get annihilated in the atmosphere.
Again, I'll real quick zoom in on the ship here to see if we can spot any frost lines there. Felix,
We're
just come
chilling
back in the
again.
backend.
Oh, I'm not
There you go,
chilling, that's
Felix.
for
You're
sure.
loud as well. I'll probably
Okay,
just
hey guys,
switch
I'm
this off
back.
real quick.
So, what's the sitch? What is happening? Hey guys, what is happening?
Yeah,
A
so
couple minutes ago, we saw the vapor come back from the tower. So they are chilling again, and we're expecting to see frost lines any minute now, basically, looking at the timeline.
It's a thriller as always. It's a very complex rocket. For anybody who has just joined us, thank you so much for doing so. We're at 16,600 viewers right now, which is hard to imagine for us. It's a small football stadium full of people. To give you an overview, what we're doing here is we're watching SpaceX's Starship Flight 10, Ship 37 on the top and Booster 16 on the bottom. They're still the current Block 2 generation, and SpaceX is already working on the Block 3 ships. In the past few launches, they've had some trouble with those, and we're hoping that they're going to succeed with this one and that they'll be able to accomplish their mission goals, which are the first thing to come up after the launch, of course, is hot staging. Once the ascent phase of the booster is done, it's going to split off from the ship, do its flip maneuver. It's going to be a controlled flip, which they've done also on Flight 9. It's a preparation for Block 3 because Block 3 is going to have a different grid fin setup and more gliding capability, downrange, less fuel consumption. It's hard to make a cigar glide, but SpaceX is able to do it. And then after that, the ship is going to continue. The booster is going to go to the Gulf. It is going to be stress tested, hopefully not to failure as on the last launch, but it's to be expected because they're stress testing the equipment. It is going to have an engine out, a simulated engine out during the landing burn. There's 3 engines lighting up of those 33 engines that the booster has. The center 3 engines light up for the landing burn. And one of them is deliberately not going to be lit up, but they don't tell the avionics, basically. They're fooling the avionics into thinking it is an engine failure. And then it's up to the avionics in the booster to decide quickly to ignite one of the engines from the inner ring of engines, from the inner ring of 10 engines. And if it does that quick enough, it is going to hover above the ocean. And the reason for that is they are aiming for a virtual tower out in the ocean. So the booster thinks there is a tower. The booster thinks it is aiming for chopsticks and it is going to be caught. And it is not. It's going to be a rude awakening for the booster because once it shuts down its engines, it plummets down into the ocean. That's the plan for the booster. The ship is going to continue, and at I think 18 minutes into the flight, they're going to do something called a payload deployment test. The Starship upper stage that you're seeing in the focus right now has a so-called PES dispenser in it. That is because SpaceX has designed this first generation of Starships to deploy Starlink satellites. Those are going to be way bigger than the current Starlink satellites that they send up with Falcon 9. So it's not going to be hundreds of Starlink satellites in there. It's going to be 54, as I remember correctly. And those have vastly greater capacities. SpaceX is going to be able to offer gigabit connections through Starlink with this, which is groundbreaking. If you can just anywhere in the world put out your antenna and have a gigabit internet connection, it's crazy. And so that's going to be the first use case for Starship, and SpaceX needs to test this before they go to orbit. They could already go to orbit. So any of that talk of SpaceX not having reached orbit with Starship yet is kind of fails because they could reach orbit. They could just let the engines run for, I think, 30 seconds longer, and they'd be in orbit. They don't do this because they can't assure a reentry yet, a controlled reentry. And since the Starship upper stage has a massive heat shield and weighs 150 tons when it's empty, it is very dangerous to re-enter the thing in a place that you do not know. Because if the Starship fails once it is in orbit and it can't be controlled anymore, it is going to deorbit somewhere, but you don't know where. And you can imagine the news if a Starship deorbits over New York or something like that and crashes into the skyscrapers. It would be devastating. It wouldn't just be a PR disaster for SpaceX, that's the least problem. It would cause human lives lost. And you can't do that. And that is why SpaceX hasn't reached orbit yet. And they're going to not do it on this flight either. It is a different thing than a normal rocket upper stage. If, for example, on the New Glenn launch, if something would have failed there, the upper stage is so small that it burns up. It's not a big danger because if it's circling the Earth at 28,000 kilometers per hour and then hits the atmosphere, it burns up. That's it. Maybe a little fragment or something comes down, and it might be a potential danger, but that's it. It's not the same as a Starship, and that's why they're not doing this. So don't expect that on this flight either. But what you can expect is that the payload deployment test, which should be really, really spectacular, because I'm really, really hoping SpaceX has said it on previous flights that one of those dumplings, as SpaceX calls them, because they're just basically weight and form factor demonstrators. They weigh the same and they have roughly the same shape as a Starlink V3 satellite, but they're not functional satellites. And one of them is supposed to carry a camera. And if you've ever seen a SpaceX launch, you know that they're doing a really, really good with camera work, really good job with camera work. They're presenting these launches really, really nice. We've seen them live stream through re-entries and stuff like that, which is completely unprecedented, never seen before stuff. And so this view from that demo satellite as it is being spit out of the Starship should be pretty spectacular if we get to see it. So fingers crossed. I hope that SpaceX has that camera on that demo satellite. That would be an amazing view. After they've done that, they're going to proceed through the cruise phase until it is time to do an engine relight, which is the test that is really, really needed to be able to controlled re-enter. You need to have, first of all, a very reliable Starship that doesn't just cut off somewhere in orbit. And you need to have the engine being able to relight in space so that you can control to deorbit the upper stage and so that it comes down where you want it to come down. And that's what that test is for. So they're going to relight a single Raptor engine to slow down the Starship. But since they are not in an actual orbit, if that test fails, it is still going to come down in the Indian Ocean. And that's the reason why they're not going to orbit yet. So they're going to test it, and that is going to shorten the trajectory. So it's going to come down earlier, but it is still going to come down in the Indian Ocean, no matter if it fails or not. And that is why they're not reaching orbit yet. It's not okay. We have SpaceX coming online. This is the intro that takes a moment. We're going to see a nice inspirational video playing in a moment, and then we're going to have SpaceX commentators. This is the point where I always say to anybody who has sent in a super chat with a question that I have not answered yet. I am going to answer more questions once SpaceX has done its job, or maybe during the cruise phase when nothing is happening. I'm going to start answering questions again. So stay with us. You're not lost in translation yet. We'll see how many I can answer, of course, because you're always sending in more than I can. But Cris and we're going to try to answer as many as we can. Okay. Anything to add to that long ramble that I just did, Cris? Hype. Yes. Yes. Man, I'm so looking forward to this launch again. When you're doing this for a living, same as Cris and everybody on the Y team as well, this is a very special moment. So here's the inspirational video, which always shows really, really beautiful shots. Look at all this stuff. What SpaceX is building out there is unprecedented. When you hear in the news that SpaceX keeps failing with Starship, do not listen to it. Their goal is not to reach orbit as quickly as possible. Their goal is to mass produce the largest rocket in the world and make it massively too rapidly reusable. So the goal is different, and that is why it might seem strange that they haven't reached orbit yet, but that is not the goal. That's not the goal right now. So keep focusing on those beautiful engines. That's a hot staging. That's a booster landing burn. That's what I was talking about. And then in the end, you only have the center 3 engine. That was the first catch. I hate that I wasn't there. A little bit of a re-entry there, soft splashdown in the ocean. And they've done all this already. The last few flights were actually a step back, but that happens sometimes if you design such a complex thing. You change a few things because you need to change them, and then something starts failing. So don't blame it on SpaceX. All right, I think we should go live now with the audio. Still can't hear SpaceX. Yep. Where's the audio? Jonathan is working frantically in the background. It's the control center at Starbase. He's working on it. Give us a second. Normally, they're just introducing what's happening today, and I've done that like 10 times. So we still have a little bit of time. Come on, come on, come on, come on. We need the audio. Oh, I'm so looking forward to this launch. I'm so looking forward to it. These are drone shots, by the way. That is something that we will never be able to give you. In the foreground, you just saw the air separation plant that they're building right now. This is pad 1, which is still the old design with that milk stool of a OLM under the rocket. In the background, you see pad 2, which is vastly different. The tower is roughly the same, but you can see the pad looks completely different because it has a traditional flame diverter, and it is a much more traditional design, which is going to give SpaceX more launch cadence, easier to handle refurbishment on the pad. It's going to have so many advantages. I'm very much looking forward to that. That is going to be first used with Block 3. We have 2 Block 2 launches left. This one and the next one, hopefully, is going to be the next Block 2 launch as well. And then after that, we have Block 3. And Block 3 is going to start on pad 2, which you can see there in the background. You can see all the vapor on the ground. That is, those are bleed lines. So it's nothing. There's nothing broken there. It's just evaporating nitrogen in this case. So it's not methane that is being vented out there. It could be oxygen as well, but I think it's only nitrogen that is venting out uncontrolled there. The rest goes to recondensers, and then it's being filled back into the farm, into the fuel farm. Oh, such a beautiful rocket. And these views are always very, very special. The drone shots that we get from SpaceX. Oh, they even have Elon there. We need audio. He's still working on it. Give us a second. This was not planned. And you can also remove at least Cris there because he's covering one of the guys. But I don't want to give you more tasks here in the background. We're working on it, everybody. Very sorry. I can't hear what they're saying either, so.
The why of Starship is
we'll definitely have to
we want to be
intro.
a multi-planet species to extend consciousness beyond Earth, I think for 2 main reasons. One is to ensure the long-term survival and prosperity of life as we know it in consciousness, which if we are a multi-planet species and ultimately a multi-stellar species out there among the stars, the probability of survival is much, much longer. That's kind of the defensive aspect or life insurance for life collectively. But then there also need to be things that are inspiring and exciting and that give you reason to live. Life cannot just be about solving one tragic problem after another. There must be also reasons to get up in the morning and be excited about the future. And a future where we are a space-faring civilization is infinitely more exciting than one where we are not.
And we're doing it all pretty unique location. I mean, the pad's behind us. We got rocket on the tower. We got another tower with it. We're sitting inside Star Factory. And I mean, it wasn't like this for very long. This is all pretty brand new.
Yeah, I think we moved Starship here in about the early part of 2019. So we've been coming that entire time and seeing the site evolve from a double wide trailer and a tent where we built Starhopper to the first suborbital test flights. And now we have behind us 2 towers for the first time as we build towards the first operational flight from the second tower at the end of this year. And this beautiful building, 1,000,000 square feet, where we're able to work towards a production line of Starships.
Yeah, the SpaceX team has done an incredible job of building out really the most advanced rocket manufacturing facility that has ever existed. This is far beyond any rocket fabrication facility that has ever been built. This is essentially alien-level technology, and it was all built here, basically down by the Rio Grande River and close to the beach. It's an incredibly improbable location, and this used to be a sandbar. I think we're about 3 feet or about a meter above sea level. It really was nothing. If you see the time lapse from sandbar to two launch towers and a gigantic rocket factory with high bays, and we're going to be building something called the Gigabay, which is like one of the largest enclosed volumes on Earth. So it's sort of like a gigantic Borg cube that we're going to be building here for building and storing these gigantic rockets. It's really spectacular, and anyone can come and visit. So because we're on a public highway and we're literally by a public beach, you can actually come and see the rocket. You quite close up. I mean, you can drive past it, and you can also look at the factory. And anyone can do this from anywhere in the world. So you can come and visit and check it out. So I think it's pretty cool that it's
just not right now.
Just not right.
Just not right.
Obviously
now.
not when we're launching because there's some safety issues. But the rocket's often just sitting on the pad without any propellant in it, and then you can just come here and visit. It's very easy.
Yeah, I think it's a really special place. Yesterday, the ship went down the road behind us, and I saw families outside on Sunday going for their Sunday stroll, and they were greeted by Starship going down. And I think that from the very beginning, the thing about Starship, different than Falcon and other rockets that I'm aware of, is we designed it to be mass-produced at scale. And it's not about building one Starship and getting to orbit once. It's about doing it in a sustained and rapid way.
Yeah, we're aiming for ultimately thousands of ships to be built per year, which is what's needed in order to construct a city on Mars that is self-sustaining. And the major fork in the road of destiny will be when the Mars city is capable of surviving, even if the resupply ships from Earth stop coming for any reason. And that reason could be something cataclysmic, or it could be that that civilization simply subsided. There's always this debate throughout history of will civilization end with a bang or a whimper. But either way, if the critical thing is to get to the point where Mars is self-sustaining and can survive even if the resupply ships stop coming for any reason, which means that you need to build an entire base of industry on Mars in order for Mars to survive. For example, it's not simply enough to build a chip, like a computer chip factory, but you need the ability to build computer chip factories. So this is going to really take a lot of tonnage. I mean, my guess is at least 1 million tons to the surface of Mars, and maybe it takes less than that, but it's going to be a lot. But this is a very exciting future. It's one which will ensure the long-term survival and prosperity of life and consciousness, and it's the critical stepping stone to get from this solar system to other star systems, and perhaps go out there and explore, and perhaps we'll encounter alien civilizations that maybe they're alive now, or maybe they enjoyed a period of prosperity for millions of years, but also died out millions of years ago. So it's humbling to think of the age of the universe, according to the standard model of physics, being approximately 13.8 billion years old. So an incremental million years would be 3 digits past the decimal point. And if you look at, say, our civilization and measure our civilization by the first evidence of writing, which is about 5,500 years ago, civilization as measured from the first writing is only 1/millionth of Earth's existence.
Or blip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flash in the pan so far.
Yeah. Well, we're getting some cool shots. Rocket out on the pad right now. We tell people, like, come down, see it. It's hard to get, like, a sense of scale of just how massive this thing is. And we were able to catch somebody working on it a little while ago. And, like, part of the reason you said we're sending millions of tons, That's kind of why this
When
thing
I
is
think
as
in this
massive as
image,
it
Dan, you
is.
can actually see the person working at the bottom of the ship. And as we zoom out, you see the full ship, that sort of two-tone silver and black, and then the booster below it, right? And it really sets the scale, which doesn't come across, I think, other than in person. And when I do tours, I like to say Starship is real, Starship is big, and Starship is really big. And I think you can see there, and with the factory shots you saw earlier, again, we've got Flight 10 on the pad, but we got many more behind it.
Yeah, so I posted a video yesterday of just a brief scan of part of the Starship factory, and you can get a sense of the scale of the factory. Yeah, I guess we could talk a bit about why Starship is the way it is. Like, for example, why is half of the ship black and half of it is silver colored? And that's because the bottom half of the ship, the bottom as seen from orbital entry, has a heat shield on it. So the black there is the heat shield, and then the core structure of the rocket is a special alloy of stainless steel, and that's where you see the sort of shiny silver parts are stainless steel. The reason for steel over aluminum is that the heat of atmospheric entry and the heat of the rocket engines is enough to easily melt aluminum, but steel is much more resilient against both ascent heating, but especially the reentry heating. And you don't have to paint it, which is actually very difficult to paint a large object that is going through cryogenic cycles and have the paint stay on. It's quite challenging.
And so we've talked about it. It's massive. It obviously takes a whole lot of energy to make that thing move. And that's where Raptor really starts to come in. Most advanced engine on the planet. Giant
yes.
lightsaber.
No, that's a lightsaber and a half. You would get vaporized in an instant if you were standing in front of Raptor. So, yeah, burnt to a crisp in less than a second. So in order to create a fully reusable orbital rocket, you have to advance the state of the art in every part of the rocket. That means the engines have to be better than any engine ever. The structure's got to be better than any structure ever. You've got to have a means of bringing the rocket back to the launch pad. You've got to have a fully reusable orbital heat shield, and that no one has ever made a fully reusable orbital heat shield. The space shuttle, for example, required 9 months of refurbishment between flights. So the space shuttle heat shield would come back essentially partially broken and would require many months of refurbishment in order to fly again. What we're trying to achieve here with Starship is to have a heat shield that can be flown immediately. So the ship, both the ship and the booster, would be caught by the tower arms, and the booster would be placed immediately back on the launch stand, and the ship's got to orbit Earth at least once, but then could be back potentially in one orbit, but in most cases several orbits. So the ship would come back several hours later, but then be caught by the arms and placed on top of the booster. You could also have multiple ships ready so that a single booster could service 5 or more ships, so that you could be flying the booster in theory every hour. This is kind of a profoundly fast speed, obviously, for the largest flying object by far ever made. But it's the reason why we catch the booster with the tower arms, and the ship also will be caught with the tower arms, because that's the fastest way to get the booster and the ship back to flight. If we had instead put landing legs, which we have done before for the ship tests, we actually had landing legs that flipped down, and the ship we've successfully demonstrated landing with legs. But if you do that, if we were to do that with the booster and the ship here, we'd have to land somewhere else with the legs, then lift the rocket, stow the legs, transport the rocket back to the pad, which is very unwieldy when you've got a gigantic thing. Then it would be picked up by these tower arms and placed in the launch mount. That would delay the reusability dramatically and would add a lot of mass with the landing legs. So that's why we catch the rocket with the tower arms, because it's the same tower arms that put the rocket in the launch mount are used to catch the rocket. And that means that we can put the booster back in the launch mount in less than an hour after liftoff. In fact, the booster is going to come back very fast. Like, 5 or 6 minutes later, this booster is coming back one way or another, or not coming back. So then you really have propellant fill time, which can be brought down to about 30, 40 minutes. And that means it is theoretically possible to fly the booster again in less than an hour.
I think when I think about it, it's the jet drives up to the jetway, the people get off, new people get on, and it leaves. You don't want to land the jet on a different airfield and then tow it over to the jetway. So it's just operationally simpler and faster.
Yeah, we've had a lot of success with the booster, 3 for 3 on the catch attempts. When we bring it back, we've reflown one, so awesome. And then again, Starship superpowers, the whole thing is reusable. So ship reusability is like what we're working on right now. We've been able to get some really spectacular reentries on a couple of flights, hoping to get this one for reentry on the V2 ship. But yeah, that fully reusable heat shield, that thing that has just never been done before, that's one of the things we're really looking for that data on.
Yeah, I mean, there are thousands of engineering challenges that remain for both the ship and the booster, but maybe the single biggest one is the reusable orbital heat shield. We are confident in making a fully reusable orbital heat shield, but it will require many flights, many iterations to figure out where the weak points are in the heat shield, where we need to change the design, either strengthening the tile or changing how big the gap is between tiles, changing what's underneath the tile. There's 100 different variables that we could tweak with the ship tiles, the heat shield tiles. But the only way to know exactly what we should be adjusting is to fly repeatedly and be able to examine the ship upon landing. And we have successfully brought the ship back through the atmosphere and achieved a soft landing multiple times. So we know that this is possible, but we have in the process shed many heat shield tiles. So we need to be able to do this without shedding heat shield tiles and do so repeatedly.
And I think what you're seeing now is the Starship, this is CG of it coming in and landing on the tower, much like the booster, but there's some additional challenges there where we need to make sure we don't scrape the tiles off as we slide along the chopstick
We can't
arms.
shuck the heat shield.
Don't crush the ship.
Rapid reusability.
If we shuck the tiles, then that's obviously going to fail the reusability test.
So ships can use the tower to land and catch like the booster here on Earth where towers are available. And for our initial landings on Mars and other planets, we'll need landing legs that deploy much like what you're seeing here with Ship 15 when we did our suborbital test to prove out the precision descent landing, which was a successful test. We actually landed two. One was we were able to actually recover it, and you can see it here in the rocket garden if you visit Starbase.
Yeah, so the rocket garden that Bill mentioned, we have actually a whole bunch of boosters and ships, and we'll be adding to them over time. So you can see an evolution of Starship just by driving down the highway.
Yeah, so reusability is key. There's some other technologies we're still looking to prove out. Really big one is going to be the on-orbit refilling. Looking to do that next year, and that's really what's going to kind of unlock, Starship going everywhere else, going everywhere beyond Earth. And that's something that's, again, never been done before, kind of like that reusable orbital heat shield, but it's going to be something that's kind of some of the other secret sauce to Starship, where we're going to be able to send hundreds of tons per ship to Mars.
Yeah, I like to think of it as if we get to orbit with a full cargo bay, but we're empty on fuel and oxygen. So basically, we're running on fumes. Then we send other ships to dock, transfer propellant. And now we made our two-stage rocket look like a many, many multi-stage rocket. And we get all of that performance. And we can take that full cargo bay now wherever we want to go.
Yeah, so a crucial technology that we hope to demonstrate next year is this orbital refilling, much like aerial refueling. It's essential for being able to send significant payload to Mars. So you essentially send a ship to orbit with a few hundred tons of payload, sort of a filled payload bay. But once it gets to orbit, the tanks will be mostly empty, and then you send up additional tanker ships to refill the Mars ship's tanks, so that it can thrust from Earth orbit to Mars and have enough propellant left for landing. So this is orbital refilling is also not something that's ever been demonstrated before. So that would be a brand new technology. We obviously have at SpaceX figured out how to dock repeatedly with the space station. So in a lot of ways, this is like docking, and in some ways it's easier in that SpaceX is docking with its own craft, but no one has ever demonstrated propellant transfer in orbit, to the best of our knowledge, and so this would be propellant transfer at a very large scale, but with full reusability and propellant transfer, those are the key technologies needed for building a city on Mars, and I'm confident that the SpaceX team, which is incredibly talented, will achieve these goals, and we will be landing ships on Mars in the future and building life on Mars, building greenhouses and life on Mars, and ensuring the long-term survival of life as we know it. And it's important to note here that obviously, we are effectively stewards of life here on Earth. That the other creatures cannot build spacecraft and get to other planets. So if there were to be a cataclysmic event, like a giant meteor that destroyed the dinosaurs, or ultimately the sun will expand to envelop Earth and destroy all life, we know this is an undisputed fact. Then if we don't take life to another planet, life will be destroyed. So it's incumbent upon us to ensure that we do bring life to other planets and ensure the long-term survival of life as we know it on planet Earth.
And I mean, aside from that, there's so much that Starship unlocks by being able to do these things. Like, we'll be able to go to Mars, but there are other just transformational things by being able to take that many people, that much stuff to space for that much less money.
Yeah, I mean, I think like understanding our planet better, being able to move people around the planet, make it feel smaller and more accessible. You could go anywhere on the Earth, in less than 40 minutes, basically, in terms of flight time. So I really do see Starship as being this thing that can connect us, just like Starlink connects our information. This can connect us more physically.
Yeah. So there's really nothing faster than a rocket. Really, an orbital rocket is the fastest thing that we know of of the fastest means of transport. So, like, you could go from LA to Sydney in less than half an hour. You could go LA to Tokyo in less than half an hour. You could go from New York to Singapore in half an hour. Everything's probably half an hour, basically. Some things might be 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, yeah, sign me up for that, please. All right, cool.
Across the Atlantic in 10 minutes, no problem.
Please, yes, sign me up.
You're going 25 times the speed of sound, so that's 30 times faster than a commercial aircraft.
And it's a whole hell of a lot better view.
Yeah, it's a hell of a view.
Yeah. All right, cool. Anything else, guys? Anything else?
Well,
you're really excited
we
about
could
coming
say
out?
a lot more.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go check in on the rocket and get on
All right,
console.
we're going to go back on console to hopefully the weather supports a launch tonight. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for your support.
Thanks for crashing, guys.
All right.
Thank you, Elon. That was almost the same that I said. Beautifully here, and I'm fully behind this goal. This is, if it works, it would change humanity. It's something. And that's what I tried to explain in the 1.5 hours leading up to this.
All right, that was sweet. Let's turn our attention back to the rocket. So just checking in, we are about 19 minutes and change away from liftoff. As I said right at the top, weather is going to be our primary concern. We were tracking some anvil clouds. We're hopefully clearing that on the range soon. We are not currently tracking any hardware blockers to launch, but we'll continue to follow along. If anyone was following along yesterday, we actually didn't even get into our webcast as we had a leak on one of the hoses feeding into the or feeding the liquid oxygen into the ship through its quick disconnect. We were able to replace that this morning. Team did an incredible job, got us into an attempt today. All right, joining me now for the rest of the day is Amanda Lee. Hi, Amanda.
Thanks, Dan. I'm super excited to be here. Let's just get right into it.
Yeah, a whole bunch has happened to get us to today's flight, our 10th flight test. Let's look back at Starship's 9th flight test in May. That did end with a rapid unscheduled disassembly on the ship and the booster.
Flight 9 marked the first reflight of a super heavy booster. We saw a successful stage separation and the first ever deterministic flip, which gives us extra performance. The reused booster was flown at a much higher angle of attack to push the envelope on capabilities, which ended up causing some internal structural failure, eventually leading to a rapid unscheduled disassembly at landing burn.
Yeah, ship continued its ascent. We did see pressure drop in its main fuel tank and rise in the nose cone. We just had a camera view. We actually caught the failure on camera in the fuel pressurization system. Ship was able to complete its ascent, though, achieved its planned velocity and second stage engine cutoff.
After that, though, we did run into some issues with attitude control, which led us to skipping the payload deploy and Raptor relay demos. Starship eventually re-entered the atmosphere in an off-nominal attitude, and communication was lost approximately 46 minutes into the flight test during entry, but of course not before one heck of a light show.
Yeah. That booster rud was caused by higher than predicted forces on its structure, specifically that internal fuel transfer tube, as we were doing a higher angle of attack experiment. To fix that for remaining flights with this version of the booster, including the one behind us, we're just going to lower that angle of attack. We're relaxing those forces, and that minimizes the likelihood of structural failure.
And over on the ship side, we redesigned the part of the fuel pressurization system that failed on Flight 9, put it through a more rigorous test campaign, and after subjecting it to flight-like stresses, it did successfully run for more than 10 times the expected service life with no damage, so great test results there. Our goal is always to make it through all of the objectives we set, but any result that teaches us more about Starship performing in the real-world environment helps us to make those targeted iterations and improve quickly.
Yeah, that's how SpaceX developed our first rocket, Falcon 1. That's the same philosophy we used to develop Falcon 9, which has passed 100 flights just this year and 500 flights overall.
Yeah, incredible milestone for Falcon, and again, the way they got there was to launch, learn, and repeat.
All right, so that wasn't the only thing that happened while getting ready for Flight 10. If you followed along, Ship 36, which was originally supposed to fly on Flight 10, experienced a major anomaly during a static fire test at our Massey's test site. It was in the process of loading all of its cryogenic propellant to do a 6-engine static fire when we had a sudden energetic event that resulted in the complete loss of the Starship, and we damaged the immediate area surrounding the stand out there at Massey's.
The most likely root cause was identified as undetectable or under-screen damage to a composite overwrapped pressure vessel, or COPV, in Starship's payload bay section. To address this probable cause, we're operating the COPVs on Starship at a lower pressure and also implemented additional proofs and inspection methods.
Meanwhile, though, keep our launch schedule up, got to keep testing. The team was able to pivot and use the launch pad, the one we're on today, to do ship static fire tests. It was the first time we've ever done that. Doing that retrofit was the fastest path to get back to launch. Team was able to engineer a solution where we used a transport ring to mount the ship, routed a whole bunch of extra hoses and everything to load propellants. They knocked that out in just a matter of weeks, where we had 2 static fires on the orbital mount.
Yeah, very impressive turnaround there, getting to these static fires. These static fires gave us the data we needed to progress to launch and are a prime example of our engineer and technician teams working to build creative solutions to keep us charging forward to eventually bring Starship online.
And even while doing all of this, we're in the process of rebuilding the test stand out at Massey's to get ready for the next generation of Starship version 3. So right now, though, we are still on track. We're looking about 14 minutes away. Again, our T0 is at 6:59 p.m. Central. While we still have a couple of moments, though, let's toss it over to Cris, who's getting ready to watch the launch out in California. How's it going, Cris?
Hey, Dan and Amanda, it's going great. And welcome everyone to the Tesla Diner here in Hollywood, California. For the first ever public showing of a SpaceX webcast, it's been great to see the webcast up here on the big screens at the diner. You know, throughout the afternoon, we've had members of the public coming up, mixing and mingling, enjoying some of the food, getting to watch some old science fiction, but also getting to watch and keep up to date with what's happening here for Starship's 10th test flight. I think I can speak for everyone here when I say we're really looking forward to the epic views that we're going to get from in space and during atmospheric reentry, all thanks to Starlink. And speaking of Starlink, that's actually how we're coming to you live from the diner, relying on one of those many reliable connections that Starlink is able to put down across the Earth and in low Earth orbit. So for a little bit more information on the immediate future of the Starlink constellation, let's head on over to Hawthorne, where my colleague Tyler Lionquist is standing by. Tyler, how's it going there? And are you ready to see a rocket launch day?
We are definitely ready for a Starship launch here in Hawthorne. Hi everyone, my name is Tyler Lionquist and I'm a Starlink business analyst here at SpaceX. Starlink is SpaceX's low Earth orbit high-speed internet that's bringing connectivity to places where you least expect it, including in space. For today's mission, Starship is outfitted with 4 Starlink terminals, allowing us to get live views of ship while in orbit and all the way down to splashdown in the Indian Ocean. Starlink satellites are built in Redmond, Washington, and that's also where we monitor the health of our entire constellation. So let's take a quick look for more on Redmond.
What a lot of people might not realize when they think about the scale that we're operating is that actually 2/3 of the operational satellites in orbit are Starlink satellites. And then all of those Starlink satellites came from right here in Redmond. We've currently got a constellation of over 8,000 satellites that are flying around in orbit. So they're working together to fill out the whole surface of the Earth, make sure everywhere can have service. So we have these laser links that are connected between the satellites, so each satellite can pass data from one to the other. That is what allows us to have these hundreds of gigabit links between satellites, and that's what allows us to connect every corner of the Earth to high quality, high speed, low latency internet.
Wow. Very nice views.
When you think about that Starlink that you have at home, the technology that's in there and that's in your antenna is very similar to the antenna that's on the satellite. We use what are called phased array antennas, which is a fancy way of describing an antenna that's made up of many little antennas that work together in order to direct their energy to a specific spot on the ground without a motor.
Generally, satellite manufacturing is a very slow process. It takes people weeks or months to build a satellite. At SpaceX, we iterate very fast, and we have learned how to build satellites at the 70 sats a week rate. As we have focused a lot on production rate, we have not forgotten about our satellite reliability, which is critical to our mission.
If you look at the whole world and you ask, where is the satellite industry? It's right here in the USA, in Redmond, where the vast majority of satellites being built are being built right here. Starlink is a truly game-changing technology, and it's all supported by the global satellite constellation from this space here in Redmond. And we're really just getting started at the very beginning of what we want to do with Starlink.
Fantastic.
Now, as we mentioned earlier in the show, one of today's objectives is for SHIP to deploy Starlink simulator satellites that represent the advanced V3 satellites Starship will be launching in the future. And as you can see here, once Starship reaches a nominal orbit, the payload door will slowly begin to open to prepare for deployment. The Starlink satellites will be dispatched relatively quickly, one at a time, very much like a Pez dispenser. They'll be situated in one long stack, taking up as little space as possible, allowing for an efficient deployment sequence. And once a set of Starlinks is deployed, the next set advances and deploys until they are all drifting away from Starship to prepare for their on-orbit life. Each Starlink V3 launch on Starship is planned to add 60 terabits per second of capacity to the Starlink network. That's more than 20 times the capacity added with every V2 mini launch on Falcon 9. So we're talking about a massive increase in performance all around, which will ultimately enable Starlink to serve as the communications backbone of the missions to the moon and to Mars. But for now, we're going to turn it back over to the team at Starbase. Hey, Dan and Amanda.
Hey, thanks, Taylor. So, quick update for everybody. So, weather's still the main thing that we're watching. We are currently red on the range, hoping to clear that anvil rule any moment now. That's really the only thing blocking us at the moment. Vehicle's good, pads ready to go. All of our checkouts have been really smooth today after that repair work that we did this morning after we had to abort out yesterday. So, we're looking at the weather. That's the thing we're really paying attention to right now.
Meanwhile, prop load is still ongoing. We started loading prop at about T-minus 53 minutes, beginning with ship fuel, ship blocks, booster fuel, and finally booster locks began loading at about T-minus 35. We'll continue loading prop until just about 3 minutes before liftoff, and ship will conclude first, and then 30 seconds later, booster will finish up.
Yeah, so bottom line, we're looking great in the vehicle. We're looking really good on the range. We're just really watching that weather. So we're still waiting to hear that that's clear. That's the only thing that could potentially stop us today.
Okay, now let's talk about Mars, since everything we do is part of our foundational mission to get to the red planet. Each Starship launch is to learn more and more about what's needed to make life multiplanetary and to improve ship to the point where it's eventually taking millions of people to Mars.
That's right. We're looking ahead to begin sending the first Starships to Mars next year. These initial ones are going to go without humans. They're just going to put minimally viable landers on the surface, land right on the skirt, no legs. This will just help prove we can actually get to Mars, focus on learning just as much as humanly possible, demonstrating what's needed for Mars transit and the ultimate landing.
Then, during our next window from 2028 to 2029, we'll attempt to land the initial infrastructure and start delivering more equipment while evaluating available resources on the planet. And we'll also have Optimus on board for the ride, designed to do the initial heavy lifting.
Beyond that, by 2030, 2031, as these windows open up roughly every 26 months, we'll continue to increase the amount of payload we're sending on each ship as we're building out more infrastructure, mining resources, generating propellant for ships to come back from Mars. By 2033, we want to double the amount of payload per ship as we just get closer and closer to building a self-sustaining presence on the red planet.
Yeah, very exciting missions ahead, and these first missions to Mars are going to be crucial to setting up what we'll need for humans to eventually inhabit the planet, and we won't be doing this alone.
Sure.
The Italian Space Agency and SpaceX recently signed a first-of-its-kind agreement to carry Italian experiments on the first Starship missions to deliver customer payloads to Mars. These payloads will include a plant growth experiment, a weather monitoring station, and a radiation sensor to gather scientific data during Starship's approximately 6-month interplanetary coast phase from Earth to Mars and also on the Martian surface.
It's a really exciting vision. To make it happen, we're going to need to launch a whole lot more. We're going to need a whole lot of people that are going to come and help us build this. So it makes it really fun for me to come to work. I know you build these things.
100%.
It's got to be fun for you.
Yep, very exciting.
All right.
Looks like we're about 5 minutes from Starship's 10th flight test. Range is still looking good. Still have an eye on the weather at the moment. And prop load is also continuing on both stages of Starship.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up real quick. So we are we're almost closed out on the booster. We're about 90% on fuel, about 90% on LOX, just a bit below. So again, we're going to continue filling for about the next 2 minutes. Once we're completely done with that, we have about 11 million pounds of liquid propellant on board those 2 stages of Starship. So a lot of propellant to move really big rockets really fast away from South Texas. So once we get close, all of our ground systems will prepare themselves. They do what's called pushbacks. They'll clear out all of those feed lines, push back into the prop farm, and just prepare the area around it. We're doing our final guidance and navigation checks right now. The automated flight safety system is about to get armed. We're just really preparing the vehicle to get ready to go. I'm not sure if we passed it already, but we do a final thrust vector control checkout. The TVC will wiggle the engines that we use to actually steer the rocket itself. Everybody's favorite topic, if we need to hold. That hold would come at T-minus 40 seconds. We can hold if we're still waiting for the weather to clear, which is our big item today, or if any other last-minute issues pop up. We'll only hold there if we have an issue. Still waiting to hear confirmation that the weather has cleared. That's the only thing it looks like would hold us today. There's the business end of a Super Heavy.
Now, once we pass that T-minus 40-second mark that Dan was talking about, a number of events are going to occur in rapid succession. The ground spin and ignition systems come up to flight pressure, and ship will switch over to internal power. After that, the quick disconnect arm lockout is removed in preparation for retraction, which occurs shortly after T0. And once we pass that T-minus 40-second mark, we do still have the ability to then recycle the count under certain conditions back to T-minus 40 seconds and hold there to assess what happened, and if we can proceed again back to liftoff.
Yeah, we hope that doesn't happen, but it has previously. I promise not to psych anybody this time. We do have some kind of points of no return. Once the water starts flowing out of that flame deflector under the launch mount, that happens just a little after T-minus 10 seconds. If that triggers and then we hit a hold, that would be a scrub for the day. We have to refill the water tanks, can't turn it off, got to refill prop, all that stuff. So that's kind of the major watch item. You'll see a big splash under the launch mount, and if we see that go and then you hear a hold, that would mean that we're done for the day. But not. And yeah, I didn't disappear. Sorry, everybody. Listening in as the flight director for today is going through some of the final checks. We are still red on the range for weather. We are closing out prop load right now, though.
Yeah, as we wait and hear what's going on, we can just quickly review some of the test objectives for today. On the booster side, we're of course hoping for all 33 of those Raptor engines to power our ascent ahead of hot staging. And once that stage separation occurs, booster will perform that directional flip before the boost back burn. One of the interesting experiments we're doing today is upon our landing burn, which typically ends with those 3 center engines lit. We're going to be intentionally shutting one of those off and instead lighting one from the middle 10 ring. And this is just to kind of give us an idea of what it would look like if we ever had an engine out scenario.
Yeah, using our time to really push the envelope. And so at this point, we are fully closed out on our prop load. Coming up on a minute and 20, we are still red on the range for weather. So at this rate, looking likely we will hold at T-minus 40 to see if we can clear that anvil cloud roll. That's the one blocker we currently have to a launch today.
I don't like it. Yeah, you just heard it. They can hold for some time at T-minus 40, which they're going to do. Seems to be anvil clouds in the area. For anybody who doesn't know that.
Just get confirmation, so we are expecting to hold at T-minus 40. We are still red on the range for weather. So look for the clock to pause in just a couple seconds.
Yeah.
And pause. So we'll hang out here for a couple of minutes. We do have until the end of the window. We won't have 30 minutes of hold time to hang out, as we can't, we're essentially not replenishing prop on the vehicle at this point, so we have to keep a close eye on things like temperatures inside the tanks. We can only hold for so many minutes before things start to warm up. Surprise, it's hot in South Texas. So
yeah.
Yeah, while we're holding here at T-minus 40 seconds, we reviewed our test objectives for booster, but why don't we chat ship for a second? After stage separation, ship will continue onwards up through its ascent to the planned suborbital trajectory. Once it reaches there, we'll undergo SECO, or where the second stage shuts off its engines. We're hoping to deploy 8 dummy satellites today, which are modeled after Starlink V3. We're also planning to attempt a in-orbit burn, so we'll relight one of those Raptor engines while in space, and that will occur ahead of reentry, where we'll also be testing multiple experiments, including missing tiles, metallic tiles, and intentionally loading those vehicles' flaps. And then hopefully we'll conclude today's test flight with a soft splashdown in the Indian Ocean.
yeah, definitely want to see a ship on the other side of the planet today. We did just get a quick update. So the range is fully green. Weather is still red. So we are still tracking a detached anvil rule. which essentially there's an anvil cloud that's too close to our launch site, and it needs to move further away. Until it moves further away, we can't lift off. So we are expecting an update in a couple of seconds, potentially. Again, we can hang out here for several minutes. We're not actively replenishing prop. And getting an update now.
Where is that anvil?
And we're getting a weather update right now. And team's looking at it. Again, we're just tracking this anvil rule still. It's our only blocker today. Range is green, vehicle is green. Weather is currently red.
Yeah,
all right, and sad voice coming in. We did just hear that we are still going to be red. So at this point, we are essentially transitioning this to be a wet dress. So wet dress is when we fully load prop on board the rocket. So we are going to see the clock probably start up again. But once they get down to 10 seconds, they're going to abort out, and then we will be done for the day. So,
no.
Sad news, not going to launch today. Weather got in our way, but you can only control so much. Can't always control the weather. Can't control the weather. I wish we could control the weather. We're not there yet.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't that be nice? So we are seeing the clock rolling, but again, we're going to get down to T-minus 10 seconds, and we're going to see that kick back out. And then we're going to start offloading all of the propellant that's on board the rocket today. So,
so they're calling.
If you are just tuning in, yeah, it's not going. There it goes. Back to T-minus 40. So, again, we essentially turned today into a wet dress. So today still ended up being a test.
Still learning something as always.
Yeah, still learning something. We were able to fix the issue that kind of bit us yesterday, where we had a leaky hose that was feeding liquid oxygen into the ship. But we were able to fix that, but weather got us today. So no launch today. We do have a phenomenal logistics team, though, so we should hopefully be able to replenish prop, everything. We don't have to refill all the water tanks because we didn't fire off the deflector. But we'll have to reload the prop. So very good chance that we can try again tomorrow. We'll obviously update everybody online. And yeah, man, sorry we couldn't go today. Don't worry.
It's okay. Don't worry.
We'll probably go tomorrow.
It happens.
Yeah, thank you all for joining us today, and we hope to see you when we do go for launch.
So obviously, follow our account on X at SpaceX. We'll share information as soon as it comes available. We'll also be updating the web at spacex.com. So thanks for joining us today. Exciting countdown. Weren't able to get off the ground, but we'll give it another shot tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.
It happens. You've just heard it from them. Tone down the volume. We've just heard it from them. It's the weather. Can you switch back to the? Oh, this is actually beautiful. This is Mars. This is Mars. That's where we want to go. Beautiful. Okay. So you've just heard it. It's the weather, and you can't do anything about the weather. We can't control that yet, even though some people think we do. We can't. Anvil cloud means, for those who don't know, it's one of those thunderstorm cells, and they have a lot of energy in them, and positive and negatively charged zones. You really don't want to fly a rocket to them or too close to them, and so that's what's called the problem. Even though you can see this kind of calm weather, if there are some rules to rocket launches, and if it's too close to the rocket, it's safety. So that's why they called it. Everything else on the ship worked, which is great. We're already down to 21,000 people here. We were up to 45,000, which is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for everybody who has tuned in and is still there. I'm going to continue to answer a few questions here. I won't have forever, but I want to make it Giovanni's worth, and you gave us a lot of super chats today, and we appreciate it very, very much. Even though we couldn't see a launch, we're going to be on the air again tomorrow. That's how that goes, and that's the business of watching a rocket launch. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. That's a lesson learned for people who want to watch a rocket launch in person as well. Make sure that rocket launch is at the beginning of your stay, because it often happens that the rocket doesn't launch on the first day. Even if everything's fine with the rocket, you just saw it. It's a stupid anvil cloud in the area, and that makes the weather report go red. And then you can't, even if you fuel the thing and it's just waiting for the ignition, you just can't do it. And what's great to see is that during the wet dress rehearsal that they did, I didn't hear any warnings. It went down to 10 seconds, meaning everything on that rocket worked. Because what they meant with this is that they didn't just let the countdown run further. While the countdown runs, the rocket performs operations, and each operation is connected to a precise time index on that countdown. So while we were disappointed that he said it's going to stop at 10 seconds, the rocket was very, very busy doing all sorts of things in those 30 seconds. And it looks like that countdown went out just fine, and they called it because of weather, which is a really good prognosis for the next attempt, which is hopefully going to be tomorrow, because there wasn't any issue with the ground support equipment, and they're going to recycle the fuel, and then they should be ready for another attempt tomorrow. So let me do a few more of your questions, because like I said, we appreciate this so much. Thank you so much. Okay, we have Gloob G, thank you so much for your super chat. Great to see the launch on your channel. I love the positive energy and in-depth explanation. What made me a little bit proud is when Elon came online, he basically repeated exactly what I said before, and the reason why he does that is because he's confronted with the same questions as I am on my channel about understanding what Starship is. It isn't just a larger Falcon 9 rocket. Otherwise, they would have built it and they would have reached orbit a long time ago. This is so different than any other rocket that has ever been built, and its goal differs so much from just reaching orbit, and on top of that, for SpaceX being reusable. It's supposed to be mass producible, it needs to be rapidly reusable, and it needs to support a Mars colony, which is a huge goal. And I really hope that that timeline with those launches that they were talking about, that Dan was talking about, that actually comes true. What shocked me a little bit, and I had never heard this before, and that is something you're definitely going to hear me talk about on episodes, is that on the first landing attempts on Mars, they're just going to land on the skirt. So there aren't going to be any legs, which is funny. I did not expect that, and that's going to be pretty interesting to see. I mean, these are just tests. Can we get it down to the surface? Again, it totally makes sense, but I didn't expect them to go without legs. That is going to be interesting to see. Legs are a complicated thing, and I'm really looking forward to first prototyping and tests with those as well. And I'm wondering if, because they can't test all of those on Mars, they'll have to do landing attempts here on Earth, if they're going to build a pad again. As we saw in the early days of the SNs, if you've been with us for a longer time and with the Starship project, you still remember these stumpy legs that they flipped out and then they landed on concrete pads. Theoretically, they'll need to do the same thing with the Mars legs. They'll need to test them somewhere, and they can't start testing them on Mars. So we might be able to go back to the glorious old SN days where they had these high altitude flight tests and the ship would just flip over, fall down, skydive down, and then flip over again and do a landing with legs. Those tests should be really exciting as well. There's a lot of stuff to look forward to. Yeah, so much just for that. If you didn't have that on your radar, there are quite a few really interesting tests still in the future. This is not going to be like Falcon 9, where it landed and then the show was basically over. There was no development anymore. Starship is going to give us incredible views and new things for the next few years to come. This is a very interesting project. So thank you so much for your super chat. I'm going to try to, Cris, if you want to come back in, you can. I see him there. Yes, you can, absolutely. I want to just do a few more because you guys seriously deserve it. I've been reading the chat as well while we were waiting and listening to SpaceX. You're a really cool bunch of people. Thank you for tuning in. It was a joy to see you, Jet. Okay, so we have Jander Feliciano. Good job, Felix. Watching from Boston. Thank you so much. Greetings to Boston. I hope you're still here. Thank you so much for your super chat. We have Josef Lang. Thank you so much for another super chat. Sorry, me again. Can you elaborate on the ISAR Open Day? Oh, ESA Open Day, first of all. Did not quite get it. So ESA, the European Space Agency, has a few things that they do for public outreach, and they're doing a really, really good job with those. And you might be able to catch me there because I'm going to actually be there with Cris and Jonathan. So all the three people that you've seen on today's live stream are going to be at the ESA Open Days in the Netherlands. We're not going to go to ESOC, which is in Darmstadt. We're going to go to STEC, which is in the Netherlands.
I do both.
Oh, you lucky guy. I'm not. But I'm going to definitely go to the Netherlands. I've been there before. It is a public outreach presentation. You'll have all sorts of scientists and engineers involved in all the projects there with real size prototypes of everything that they're building. Sometimes they even bring the original mission hardware. It's super interesting because you can talk to the guy who is building the Mars rover. And that is something that is a very rare opportunity, even for me, and it is very much worth it. ESA, thank you so much. If somebody from ESA is watching, you guys are doing a really, really good job with those open days, and I'm very much looking forward to it again. And I think we're going to be there in October, I think 13th, 14th, what was it?
12th or 13th. Either Saturday or Sunday, yeah. It's
exactly.
A 2-day event.
If you're close, buy yourself a ticket. They aren't even for sale yet, right?
No, they're coming on for sale, I think, on the 7th.
Yeah, check it out. Google it. It is absolutely worth it if you're in the area, and you might even be able to catch me. I would be more than happy to shake your hand. That's what I was mentioning about the ESA Open Days. Okay, we have Andrew Daniels. Hey Felix or Cris, if Starship solves reusability, do you think it will have a bigger effect in space or on Earth? Yeah, well, he asked you as well. So.
That's a really good question. I think both. I think we are already talking about point-to-point flights. Elon just did it today again. He explained it very well that you can pretty much reach anywhere in like 45 minutes. So yes,
looking forward to that.
And it's actually a feasible way of transporting stuff from A to B. And it's like the fastest way that you can imagine. It makes Concorde look like a lame duck.
Like a child's toy. Yeah. It's incredible. And even you just said it, it is a feasible form of transportation once the Starship system is built the way it's supposed to be built. Even if it sounds completely nuts, but you might at some point, if SpaceX really pulls this off, you might at some point be able to book a ticket to fly with a Starship from here to Singapore. And you bet I'll be on one of them.
Me too.
This is nuts. It's like, as soon as this is safe, I'm not going to be the test pilot, don't get me wrong. But as soon as this is safe, Blue Origin can definitely say goodbye with their orbital hops, because this is it's still going to be ballistic. So it's not going to be in orbit, but it is going to be a freaking spectacle. This is going to be amazing to see. So fingers crossed to SpaceX if they can do that. Yeah, absolutely. And I think the same that you said. It's going to have a big effect for Earth. It is everything that SpaceX is suggesting, all the use cases that they're suggesting for Starship, even in space, are going to have a big impact on Earth. If you start colonizing Moon and Mars, on the Moon, you'll find helium-3 in abundance, which is a really, really good fuel for for fusion reactors. If you colonize Mars, it is definitely going to have an impact on humanity, even just the broadening of our horizon. Then you have space-based solar systems. We're actually working on an episode about that right now, where mega constellations in general, all this has a profound effect on Earth, absolutely. And we have to be careful with it. But I do think if we use this in a proper way, it is going to change our future for the better. So there we go. Yep. Was a really good question. I've never heard that one either before. Theodore Miller, thank you so much for your super chat. When is your wife going to do another video? Yeah, she's looking over right now, and everybody is looking back at you, even though they don't see you. He's right. And I can tell you guys, I have told her many times, this isn't the first time. Oh, now she's doing the Picard maneuver.
What?
Oh, that's a Trekkie insider. It's like when somebody pulls down their shirt and she does not answer. So I don't know, but I urge her to do so. I think you've done a wonderful job with these.
And it's still the logic. So everybody will hear me talk about Starship stuff.
Absolutely. You have your fans. There's your question again, and it's been being mentioned all the time. So don't you worry. People would love to see you again. And I think everybody give it up in the chat. I think she's done a wonderful job every time she was involved in anything, be it streams or episodes. She's blushing now. Ah, look at you. Seriously, you get these questions all the time. Yeah, now she's sitting there. It's true. All right, thank you so much for bringing this up, Theodore. It was very much worth it to press her again to do it. All right, she'll do it at some point. Thanks everybody in the chat. Okay, that was a really nice one. Thank you. Vinicius Moneguite. Oh, wow. I'm sorry for butchering that one. Thank you so much for your super chat. Sending good vibes from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Go Starship. Thanks for your great job, Felix and Y Team. Yeah, even though the stupid anvil cloud didn't make it happen today, I am seriously looking forward to tomorrow already again. We've had this before. I think the most we've had were 3 attempts, so that would be tomorrow. If it takes another attempt after tomorrow, we're on a new record. I think we haven't had 4 yet, have we? I think 3 was the most so far. But you've seen it. It has happened before, and it happens all the time with rockets, even with Falcon 9, which is already completely reliable and very, very much tested. Sometimes you have your stupid anvil cloud, or the ground support equipment doesn't work. All of that happens with every rocket. So here we are, waiting for the next launch attempt. Thank you so much. We have Free Life Tax. Thank you so much for your super chat. Did I hear Tasmania? I am in Tasmania. Let's go SpaceX. Yeah, that must have been, wow, there were so many super chats. I'm so sorry for not answering these quicker. That was like 2 hours ago that I mentioned this. Yeah, I mentioned this because of Marcus House. Shout out to Marcus House, a huge fan. He is in Tasmania, as you probably know, because you're from there and you seem to be a space fan if you're watching this with us. So yeah, shout out to Tasmania again. Let's go SpaceX. Absolutely. We'll see that tomorrow. Steve, thank you so much for your super chat. Great work you guys do every day. Yeah, on Sundays as well. For sure. I have to say, I've never worked more for hours week-wise for a job than ever before. But I have to say at the same time that it never felt as easy as it does now. Turning your hobby into a viable job is a pretty cool thing. So thanks to again and again and again. I know I'm like a broken record, but you cannot imagine how much we appreciate that you watch our content, that you like our streams, and that you subscribe and support us. That is what enables us to do this. So thank you so much. Why are you giggling? She's got something. She's always up to something. Oh, Jonathan is giggling too. Okay. So the plot is thickening here. All right, that's the back end that you guys can't see. I'm telling you, this team is such a nice team to work with. It's a shout out to the entire Y team as well. You guys are pretty special. So we have Jamie Stummy. Thank you so much for your super chat. Hey Felix, welcome from Berlin. Also Stumme. Jamie Stumme. Welcome from Berlin. I've been watching your updates and find you as one of the best presenters. When will be the DE meetup? We've had quite a few huge German meetups before. I'm going to be to the ESA Open Days, and you just heard the date. This is not going to be an official meetup, but I'm easily spotted because I'm wearing all these crazy SpaceX shirts and with Mechazillas on them and all this kind of stuff. So, and if you've seen me in episodes, I'm recognizable. Look out for me in October. I would love to shake your hand. Say you're Jamie Stumme, the guy the last name I butchered because I didn't know you were from Germany. It would be much appreciated. I'm always happy to meet people, and it's always, as I said before, the strangest thing about being a YouTuber is that you never meet the people that appreciate your content. So do come seek me at the ESA Open Days. That is your next opportunity because I will be there, and I'm very much looking forward to it. We have Matt M. Thank you so much for your generous donation. This is a lot of money. Thank you so much. Let's start this hype train, Felix and Cris. You guys rock.
I think we missed that hype train. But thank you.
Thank you, very much appreciated. The hype train's left the station and is coming back tomorrow for another round. Hopefully tomorrow, but I'm pretty confident that they're going to meet the next window tomorrow. Yeah, the hype train has left the station several times before the 40-second hold. I'm going to have a tattoo of a 40 on my arm or something like that. It's such a crucial number when you're watching Starship launches because this dreaded 40-second hold has cost me half of the hair that Elliot hair replaced was lost during those 40-second holds. Okay. we have definitely German. Grasdacke. Hey, how are you doing? Thanks for the great information and herzliche Grüße aus dem Südschwarzwald nach Florida. So heartfelt greetings from the southern Black Forest to Florida. Thank you so much. You're living in one of the most beautiful areas in Germany. I've been there many times before. It's a really, really cool place. If you want to visit Germany, don't skip the Black Forest. It's a beautiful place. Thank you so much for tuning in and for the super chat. It is much appreciated. We have Bazinga X. Thank you so much for the super chat. USS Enterprise, Star Trek had Windows also, so Windows must be required. Yeah. Well, to be fair, when you're designing a sci-fi ship for a show, you have it way easier than an engineer. And everything that the no Windows crowd is saying is absolutely correct. I mean, you know it as well, Cris. You're completely complifying. You're making it so much more complex and so much more difficult to build the rocket if you're introducing Windows.
You're literally punching holes into your structure. That is not really a good idea, but it's a good idea to have Windows on the other hand too.
Exactly. You need the inspiration. People need to be able to look out. If you're traveling through space to go to Mars, what is it worth? If we wouldn't even need to get out of the spaceship on Mars. And great. Okay, so why are we going there? Just send some robots and control them remotely or with AI. We're really good at that at this point. Give it another 10 years and we won't even need to send astronauts anymore. But then why are we exploring? It is in the human nature that we want to grab and smell and see things with our own eyes, and that's why we're going out there, and that's why we need Windows. That's all there is for me, even though I absolutely know that the engineers are going to curse every window that they have to add to it. It's not easy. And we're probably not going to get this beautiful panoramic window. When I saw that first concept, the initial Starship concept with this huge window, oh man. And then there was this animation, remember, where this woman was floating in her dress, playing the violin in front of and I was like, oh.
Yes, please. That was the main thought. Yes, please.
It would be pretty amazing if they would do that. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be that big of a window, but there need to be windows. I'm saying it. I rest my case. No windows, no fun. Okay, Charlie de Guzman, thank you so much for your super chat. Hello from New Zealand. Visit New Zealand to see Electron rocket. Yes, I need to. It is so high on my bucket list. I've never been to New Zealand. I've talked to my wife 15 years ago that we really need to go visit New Zealand. I wanted to move to New Zealand at one point. Exactly. Before I did this crazy rocket job that I'm doing now, I actually considered moving to New Zealand. So I was always up to travel somewhere and do some adventures. I'm a pretty adventurous person. And New Zealand was on the list, but I've never even been there. My aunt has traveled with a RV. She's covered the entire island, northern and southern island, and I'm very jealous. I would really like to go to New Zealand, especially for Rocket Lab. I'm pretty sure Rocket Lab would invite me as well. It's pretty far away. It is very far away. It's like the most remote place you can imagine. So it's hard to reach for us. But thank you so much for the invitation. Yeah, Jonathan is already saying he wants to join. Yeah, absolutely. We can go, all the three of us. Let's just do it and watch a rocket launch in New Zealand. Now, and Jeffy is saying, excuse me, so we have the entire family moving. Now we're at 10 people.
I need the 2 hours. I need rugby and the rocket launch because I'm a huge All Blacks fan. So that would be it for me.
Well, then absolutely. There you go. We need to go. Yeah, New Zealand is high up on the list. Trust me. Thank you so much, Charlie. Okay, we have Evan Spector. Thank you so much for the super chat, even though it's probably from like 2 hours ago. Tea Earl Grey hot, exactly. I know all those references. Coffee black is another one. That's from Voyager. That's what Captain Picard, Jean-Luc Picard, always said when he wanted to have his tea from the replicator. So we have a fellow Trekkie there. Thank you so much for joining in and for the super chat. We have Uncle Vampy. Thank you so much for your super chat. Felix, thank you for your infectious enthusiasm about space. That's not fake. I even opened a YouTube channel about it. Honestly, the reason why I opened this YouTube channel is because I watched content on YouTube as everyone else is here right now, and I wasn't satisfied because SpaceX had started this project and nobody was really talking about it in detail or in a for me acceptable way. And so I was like, I got to talk about this, and then I started it, and I'm still talking about it, which is completely nuts. I'm so hoping that SpaceX is going to succeed with this. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. It's much appreciated. We have Randy Friesenhahn. This is a dollar symbol though. So Friesenhahn is from the United States. It's a very German name. We have been here for almost 200 years. My parents still spoke German. There you go. I could understand you. It was great. You made me smile. So you're absolutely welcome. It's the generational change when people come to immigrate into another country is always funny to see. The first generation still speaks it, the second generation speaks it kinda, and the third generation still understands it, hopefully. And at some point you just integrate into the new culture, which is perfectly fine. I can see it with our kids. Our youngest, he speaks German, but not as good as somebody who lives in Germany, because he moved here when he was, how old was? 4? And when he's 20, he'll say, yeah, I was born in Germany and I spent my first few years there, but I'm really an American. And that's the funny part about immigrating into another country. At least I hope so, because I still can't get the green card. But I wish for it. I'd be happy about it. Absolutely. So Randy, thank you so much for sending in this anecdote. That is much appreciated. It feels very personal to me. David Barash. Or David Barash, thank you so much for your super chat. Oh, it's David, it's a dollar sign. I look forward to everything you guys produce. You rock. My question is, other than Flight 10, what would you name this launch configuration? What do you mean? Is Flight 10 not good? It's the penultimate Block 2 launch. It's ship 37 on the top and booster 16 on the bottom. It's the rocket that didn't want to go through the Envel cloud. You want me to come up with a nickname? I don't know what this question is about. Thank you so much for the super chat. I'll have to put this aside because I don't know how I can answer this. I'm very sorry. We have Der To. Thank you so much for the super chat. Keep up your great work. Levreuse aus Köln. Yes, absolutely. There you go again. The Rhineland people. I'm so happy that there's even people from the Rhineland watching these streams. It's very close to my heart. I still miss the Rhineland, and I always will. Even though I'm very happy in the United States, there are some things that the Rhineland people they're special. I love you guys very much. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, we have DMAX XD 721. Thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you to the Y team for making this possible to follow along. You're very welcome. You guys are great people and very happy to share it with my fam and children. Go ahead, spread the news. This is so important. Many people don't even have it on their radar yet what's happening here. Even if they've heard of SpaceX and this giant rocket that they're building, they do not know what this means. Starship, I don't know how many times I've said it on this stream, and you're probably thinking, yeah, we know by now. But tell it to your friends, tell it to your family, tell it to anybody who doesn't know yet. Starship is not just a larger rocket. If this works out, it is going to change things so drastically. It's a pretty big step. And you're not saying anything. I'm so sorry. Do you want to read the next one? Do you read the next one? Come on.
Nakota says, now he's taking a break. Cris, here's a coffee for you.
Well,
Actually, this is something that I would really enjoy right now. I'm really feeling the fact that it's like 2:30 in the morning here. But hey, that's what you do for spaceflight.
It's like in the middle of the night for you. Yes, it's 8:28 over here. So to anybody who's from Europe or any other place where it might even be later right now, thank you so much for still being here. I completely forgot. It's like we can also call it, Cris, if you need some sleep.
Actually, I would really like to catch some things. I didn't get much last night, so
I did not think of, and tomorrow we're going again.
Yes.
Yes.
Ready for that.
All right. The super chats are still coming in, and this is absolutely amazing, guys. The entire team is always floored with with all the feedback, the positive feedback that you give us, and the encouragement and everything. To anyone who I've not read to yet, who I've not had where I didn't have the chance to read the super chat yet, there's the word chain. I'm sorry. I always try to do all of them, but you guys just keep coming. And at some point we need to. Chris, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't even think about that, and Jonathan as well. It's in the middle of the night for them, so we're going to call it now. We're going to leave you with this. Yeah. We can do that exactly. If anybody is, but then they're stacking up. We'll try our best. For anybody who has sent in a super chat and that hasn't been read out yet, we're going to try to do that on the next one. Maybe we can even stream an hour earlier or something. You really deserve this. Thank you everybody for the support. It's overwhelming sometimes, and it's very much appreciated. And the entire Y team thinks the same. I'm pretty sure Chris can confirm that.
Absolutely. It's just a space family. So very happy to be here. Very happy to be part of it. It's just a brilliant thing. It's not a job. It's an adventure. Seriously.
Yep, that's how I would say it as well. I
thank
don't
you
even
to
call
all
it
of
my
you
job.
out there. You're making this possible. It's amazing that your support is actually sponsoring a team that's really up there doing their best to bring you what you like, because that's what we love.
Yeah, that's it. And the team is, most people just watch the YouTube videos and then they see me and they think that's all there is. If you knew. There's so much more going on behind the scenes. Okay, so thank you so much. There's nothing to add. We're going to leave you with the views of the pad. I normally do this because there are chats going on right now and people are talking to each other, and I don't want to just interrupt that. So we're going to leave this running for another half hour or so, or maybe 20 minutes, something like that. And then you're going to be redirected to the 24/7 stream that we always have running. If you want to keep chatting, just wait until it redirects you and keep chatting there. Otherwise, we're going to see you again tomorrow, hopefully without anvil clouds. It's the anticipation is through the roof at this point. It is just incredible that SpaceX has this. It's the second scrub. I don't know how much more I can take, but we're going to do it anyway. Anything
Thank
to
you
add?
guys, and really hope to see you again tomorrow. Let's see that thing fly. It will at some point, and I really hope it's tomorrow.
It will at some point. That's the last words. Thank you so much, guys. See you tomorrow.
Good night.
Thank you so much.
Good night.